That's why I referred to her as a cosplayer, professionally.
Yeah.
Man, that was like a scandal and a half about, what was it, probably 2 years ago now. I can't believe it's been that long.
Yeah. Really? I thought it was longer.
I think it was like 2019. Maybe it was 2018. I don't know. I remember we were talking about it in the Cult of Raven.
Oh, yeah.
That was, yeah, maybe it was 2018. I don't know, everything pre-COVID, it seems like it was both an eternity ago, but also last year. Even though, at this point in time, last year, we were already in COVID.
Yeah. What did I play?
It's completely warped my perspective on time.
Yeah, definitely. Seems like last year took a long time.
Yeah, but at the same time, it almost felt like it didn't exist, you know? Like it's a hole in the memory.
Literal memory hole.
Yeah.
Should I try the video again?
You can try. I don't know.
I'll
Asking
try.
me. I have no control over your
I
camera.
don't know why it would suddenly. Yeah, I don't know why it would suddenly start working, but I don't know why it suddenly stopped working. So.
Nothing else is using your camera, is it?
Well, I could close Microsoft Teams.
Were you on a call today?
No.
Yeah, I don't know why it would be using your camera.
I was on a call yesterday.
Yeah, that didn't stop it. I mean, yesterday all you had to do was like restart Chroma Cam and things were working.
I know. Well, I restarted it twice yesterday. Was it yesterday? Wait. No. Turn on. Oh well. I guess I'm just green con guy.
Yeah. Well, it's better than swirly dots guy.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah.
Probably need to reboot my computer. For some reason. I don't know why.
I reboot my computer all the time.
Oh, really? I try not to, but we had a power outage yesterday and it forcibly rebooted.
Well, I'm always like installing and uninstalling packages and stuff like that, so I it's Windows. Nothing works properly if you don't reboot it after you install something.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
As opposed to like Linux, God, if I didn't need this thing for half of the applications I use, Linux, you could just install something. It's like, what? Reboot? What? No, just leave it on.
Exactly. Same with the Mac.
Yeah, but then I have to deal with all the other things that have to do with Mac.
I guess so.
But everything comes with trade-offs, right? It's like Linux as a family of operating systems, I think overall it tends to be better. I like Unix too, but the big trade-off is nobody makes software for them.
Yeah, but I have a VM with Linux on it, and I found that a remarkably high number of things on Steam, like games on Steam work.
I think we talked about it too. It's because of the Steam OS is a Linux build, so they needed to make sure things were working for it.
Yeah, but I wonder, like, do developers have to specifically make sure their games work on Linux?
I don't know. I think they're encouraged to, but also because the personal and custom computer market is bigger than it's ever been. That the also Linux user base is bigger than it's ever been, even though compared to the whole, it's still kind of a niche user base. That game developers are just kind of already incentivized to make their games work for Linux, since the niche user base of Linux players are also like video game players. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure that's true.
Yeah, I mean, people who like games and people who like tech tend to have a pretty big overlap with each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
I'm still watching Rick play Portal painfully, by the way. Very painful. I'm like, no, why? Why would you do that?
Because he's Rick.
But anyway, yeah, funny. He's gonna beat it though, with no help.
But that's good.
Good for him.
Yeah. Welcome to the Vomitorium, episode 86. As always, I am your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, The Green Screen.
Mm-hmm.
How are you doing today?
Good. You know what's really frustrating is that I actually took a shower and combed my hair.
Got all ready.
Got all ready. I'm ready to go. But my freaking camera won't work.
Yeah, maybe your camera's just like, sorry, you didn't do good enough.
Yeah. Didn't brush your teeth, damn it.
Yeah.
Ah, bastard. I don't know. I might try and flip it on throughout the show and see if it works.
It's gonna work for like the very last 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah, let me try. And nothing.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Discord.
So we got a few things
Oh, well.
to talk about. I couldn't find a lot to talk about though, but that's fine because we do still have our RPG stuff to discuss at the end of the show. We did have a topic to discuss, which we could still kind of go over it. We might want to push it back for a longer episode though, because you didn't do any research.
I know.
I barely did research. I did some, but barely. It was a busy week.
Well, I have a couple of small things.
Yeah.
I have a couple of little things I can start with if you want.
What little things? Like stories or actually about the topic we planned?
Well, no, just little stories.
Yeah, we can start with some
Not
stories.
even. Yeah,
We could
barely.
we could just push back the ARG episode to like next Saturday.
Well,
As
we can
long as
talk
we
about
actually do research this time.
Yeah. Well, we can talk about the game that you figured out, right?
Yeah, I did remember the name of the game I was talking about last time. But if we are going to talk about ARGs, I'd rather it be like in a comprehensive episode because it's one of those things that you could easily go on for just about 3 hours talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are things to talk about aside from that.
All right.
But if anybody wants to prefer for next episode, the name of the one I was talking about was Local 58, which was the name of the TV station that they were pretending to be.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's got its
Yeah,
own
it's
Wikipedia page and everything.
When you Google it, it says 2015 surrealism.
Yeah.
YouTube
I
horror
honestly
and all.
would throw ARGs under the, like, I don't know, artistic category. I don't know what else to call it. The genre of surrealism.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a number of things. So this is interesting. Like film, I've learned about most of these through film theory or game theory. There's a film theory on Local 58.
Yes, there is. It's Don't Look Away. The moon is killing people. Which, yeah, we'll talk more about that next time. If you want to do the mild research, you can just go. I'm sure there's like a few film theories on ARGs.
Oh, there's several.
Yeah.
Petscop, is that considered an ARG? Sort of.
Maybe.
Like semi.
I mean, anything that creates an alternate version reality that has audience interaction on its development is an ARG, right? You can be lightly an ARG. You could be pretty heavy where like the like maybe the IP address you need for a video or something is hidden in a PNG somewhere, and or even just in the code of the page, right? Like you have to go inspect it and like, oh, here's the URL to where I need to go next or something. Like you could be pretty heavy into it.
Yeah.
But
Dillard, John Dillard's asking, ARG is an alternate reality game.
Yeah.
It's
just what we were going to talk about today.
Yeah, typically it can combine an actual game that you can play or maybe a fake game that somebody does like YouTube videos about. It can involve a website that somebody puts up. We'll get into it next time.
Yeah. We'll devote a whole episode to it because it's one of those things that needs a whole episode to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a very interesting topic. And, I don't know.
Yeah.
We've got some other interesting topics. Like, Unreal 5, like the new engine, is available.
Mm-hmm.
People can play around with it. And there's some cool things. We were talking about that last night on Dillard's stream because a whole hour episode, no, Dillard, a whole 3-hour episode, basically. That's how much there is to talk about ARGs.
Mm-hmm.
That's for the next Saturday show. But yeah, we were talking about some of the stuff with Unreal 5 because Model was bringing it up in Dillard's chat, and I knew it was coming out. I just didn't know it was available like now.
Mm-hmm.
And I also didn't know that MetaHuman was already available.
Yeah, I guess the Unreal 5, it's still like a preview.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not sort of the final release yet.
But it can do some crazy things from what I'm seeing.
Yeah. Trying to figure out, I installed it, but I don't know how to. I guess you have to use the Epic launcher to actually launch it.
Oh yeah, you have to use the Epic launcher for everything. It's kind of stupid. Because I remember, was it the Unreal 4 UDK had its own launcher? Like it was just an application on your computer. You didn't need to Epic or anything like that.
Yeah. You know, and was it Model 316?
Yeah, it was Model.
It was. Yeah. You do have, it's not a big deal. I was just trying to be funny, but you do have to install the Epic Games launcher in order to install Unreal Engine.
Which means there's going to be Chinese spyware on your computer.
That's right, probably. It's not like a part of the Unreal or the Epic Games launcher or a subset. It's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's the whole.
The whole launcher.
Yeah, which doesn't do anything as long as you're not running. It's not a big deal. It's just kind of a meme to say, I'm never going to install the Epic Games launcher because of Epic Games' various anti-consumer policies, etc.
Yeah.
But I do acknowledge that the game engine is very good.
Yeah, because that's what really put Epic on the map in the first place.
Yeah. I never played Unreal.
Dude, Unreal Tournament was a fun-ass game.
Yeah.
It's actually something that kind of upset me about this, right? So, historically, like, the Unreal Tournaments were kind of like the tech demos for the Unreal Engine, right? You'd get new ones every time there was a new Unreal Engine. Periodically, they'd update it. But now, instead of an Unreal Tournament 5 or 2021 or however they want to label it, right? They have this other early access tech demo game called Valley of the Ancient.
Oh.
Which seems more like an open world action adventure type thing. It's fine, I guess, because it's just there to show what they can do. I mean, basically everything looks hyper realistic, especially the scenery. Like, you've got cliff faces and stuff. And one of the things about it was that they basically removed the polygon count limitation with this engine. You can get smooth surfaces by that, right? Like, if you have nearly infinite polygons, then a surface can be as rounded or smooth as you want it to be. So I don't know. I kind of wish, why couldn't they just make Unreal Tournament like a new one and just put it in this chasm setting instead of you fighting this big robot that looks like the Destroyer from Marvel?
Yeah. I'm actually fiddling with the Unreal. They call it the Unreal Editor now. It's interesting.
Apparently, the user interface was one of the biggest updates that they did to this too.
Yeah, well, when you first start it, you can create a project based on various game types, you can start a project that's a first-person shooter, puzzle game, third-person, top-down, AR, VR. Cool.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't
But
know
I'm
how
guessing
much
there's
it
not a
does.
side-scroller beat-em-up option.
Well, that's what I was actually looking for. I wonder if the third-person view one would work. You just have to basically,
Fixed camera?
yeah, fix the camera and have it basically a almost two-dimensional, or whatever you want to call it, 2.5 dimensional
I mean, you could probably
area
do it
that
with the top down if you just make your sprites right.
maybe. I
Right?
think the third
Well,
person.
because, like, think about Enter the Gungeon, right? That game was made with 3D models, and then they everything was just top down, and it looks 2D.
Yeah.
Right?
But no, I think
Yeah.
the third person perspective would be the right, based on what it looked like. I think that's what I want,
Yeah, maybe.
because it basically shows a character model, just happens to be in a 3D environment. We can just limit the 3D environment,
Yeah.
be a single street or whatever.
Yeah, and you can always just, like, if you want a flat character, you can basically just put, like, a like an invisible stand or whatever right there that you just slap the image on to, or like a video or a GIF or whatever.
Yeah. Until we have fully 3D rendered, whatchamacallit, bucklers.
Well, you know, with MetaHuman, that might not be that far away.
Yeah, really.
That's actually what my one fear about this is. Remember the whole slog of like really bad Steam Greenlight games?
Remember? Are they
Well, I
still
mean,
there?
it's still kind of happening, but not in the frequency of when they first started doing the Steam Greenlight.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It was
Yeah,
just
they
like
were all like just,
hundreds.
yeah, palette swaps and
Mm-hmm.
just like they take demo games from things like the Unreal Engine,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just
Usually Unity.
throw that up
was
there.
that was most of it.
the
But-
Unity. Yeah.
So, like, I'm worried that now that games can easily look good, it's going to fool a lot of people to buying a lot of just really bad, shitty games.
Yeah.
Because now anybody can make any looking person and just run a 2-minute video of those people walking in a crowd or whatever for a trailer.
Yeah.
And most people shouldn't be making games. They don't have the technical know-how or the creative aspirations to be making something like that.
Yeah, they're just trying to throw something out there as quickly as possible, see if
Yeah.
they can get a few hundred people to buy it with little to no effort.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what we should do. Throw out a palette swap of a demo game and see how many suckers we can pull in.
Ugh. Ugh. I think I'd
Man,
have to,
we-
like... I'd have to commit, what do they say? Commit Sudoku?
Sudoku, seppuku.
Well, yeah, it's seppuku, but the internet meme is commit Sudoku.
No, it's funny. I'm not really doing anything with it right now, but
Yeah.
I went ahead and just selected that third-person view app, and it's sitting here compiling shaders, and it started out with 1,500 shaders that it had to compile, and it's about halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
How many freaking shaders do you need?
Well, I think that's how it gets most of the modern look is through shaders.
Yeah. Well, it's got 700 shaders left to compile.
Mm-hmm. I only need 2 shaders. I need my CRT rounding filter and my CRT scan lines, and I'm good.
Oh yeah, that'd be great. I wish I had video to put shaders on. That would be nice. Let's see. Nope, still. Oh wait. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go.
Hey, you're there. Finally.
Why did it work?
I don't know.
Complete mystery. Where am I,
Probably because you were being, sarcastic. That's usually the solution to anything. Is you just got to be sarcastic enough.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
yeah.
Who is it? My friend Pataya, who comes on here once in a blue moon, and I both have kind of come to the secret that if something's not working, we just need to publicly complain about it, and it'll just start working immediately afterwards.
Yeah, I have no idea. I just had to let it rest for a while. Needed to think about what it's done.
Yeah,
and then it
put it in the corner.
That's right. But anyway, here I am. So yeah, this might be an interesting option. I think it would be, I don't know if it's going to be more or less work to use Unreal versus that Pixel Game Maker, but it would almost certainly end up higher quality.
Yeah.
Right?
I would think so. I mean, even doing the same thing, it was, I don't know, it might have like better like interpolating, it might anti-aliasing and stuff like that. I mean, it looks like it's a higher quality engine, so even just compiling things, you'll probably end up with less issues.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, Unreal is one of the gold standards of...
Oh, it is the market standard right now.
Game development,
Which is funny, too, because usually once you become the market standard, like the industry standard, usually you start to slack off and become shit because everybody buys you. But that doesn't seem to happen with Unreal. Like, iteration after iteration, they just keep getting better and everybody keeps wanting it. It's the game developers that get lazy, not the development tool developers.
Well, what do you think about Unreal versus Unity? You think Unity's getting worse?
No, I think Unity's getting better. I don't think Unity's that bad of a system. Like, it is kind of bloated. It's got that problem, but it doesn't really have problems compiling, which, honestly, any development tool, that's the most important thing it needs to do, is to compile at the end. I think usually with Unity, the problem is the user, not the program, more often than not.
Yeah. For a while there, it seemed like Unity was sort of the one that you went to if you were definitely wanting to do cross-platform, because it seemed to support every platform under the sun. But now, I think Unreal does that too.
Yeah.
But I remember, like, Unity, I think, was the first third-party game engine that Nintendo fully supported and allowed. That was like when they first started allowing third-party game engine built games on their systems. I think it was on the Wii U and or 3DS. It was Unity was it.
I don't know. It might be.
Before that, it was
don't know.
You have to use our tools or nothing.
Yeah.
But now I think you can develop for the Switch using Unreal Engine or whatever you want.
Oh yeah, because I think Octopath was done in Unreal.
Right. Yeah. So it was years ago, but for a while there, Unity was the only option if you wanted to be truly, cross-platform. But now it's not the case.
Well, I remember for a long time, this is the way Nintendo thought about it, is that you made the game using the system itself, right? Like, and every game basically, like, the system was the engine, but so every game was its own engine. You didn't have, like, a game engine where you just kept making games out of it, where you can load in assets and stuff,
Yeah, but now, obviously, I mean, I'm pretty sure developers can get an emulator, essentially, for the Switch and all that. So,
well, the Switch is the most, I mean, they're all computers, but I would say it's the most computer-like system that Nintendo's done. So I don't even think you really need an emulator to do it, especially because like if you have a Switch, and because it runs like any other system does now for the most part, you can just load the game into a micro SD card and then test it on a Switch after you're done, right? You don't even need to emulate the system or anything.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for a while, I think consoles in general were very proprietary.
Yeah.
But kind of realized it'll be easier for third-party developers if we just make it a computer.
Yeah, well, it was even like that once discs were introduced, which is weird, right? Like, if you see the original Xbox dev kit, which basically looks like a desktop computer, and it's got like an Xbox built into the top of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I wonder if Xbox was really the one that forced that issue because, I mean, Microsoft obviously, they made their Xbox basically a computer.
Yeah, because you use
masquerading
DirectX
as a console, right, from the very beginning. Whereas at the time, I think PlayStation was still pretty proprietary stuff, and Nintendo definitely was.
Yeah.
But Microsoft was like, if you build it for a computer, it should work on the console too.
Yeah, which is really weird, right? Because even once they moved to discs, they were still making it like if you were working with the old cartridges, they would just burn everything to a disc afterwards. Like, this seems like a waste. Especially when you see, like, modders who can take a disc image, pull it off, do whatever the hell they want to it for, like, an old PlayStation game, and then burn the ISO back to a disc and still play it on a PlayStation. It's like, you guys could have just been making games with computers this whole time once you got to discs.
Yeah, exactly. And Nintendo with their weird GameCube mini discs.
Which you could still do the same thing with.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's funny about that?
I mean, nowadays
is because they did that, manufacturers started selling mini discs in buttloads.
Yeah.
Or actually, one of my favorite things. So, GameCube games like Kellogg's and stuff like that, like really cheap games that you would probably play on a computer that come with your cereal. GameCube games would come out, and they would be on those small discs. So people would go and they would buy boxes of cereal in like by the buttload, take all the discs out, and basically just strip them clean and rewrite games onto them. And that's how people were pirating games for the GameCube, was through the Kellogg's GameCube disc. Because nobody gave a shit about the Kellogg's games.
Could you rewrite those?
Technically, yes. It was a difficult process. Because technically you can rewrite any disc if you have like a proper disc cleaner. But how much effort do you want to put into this is like that's what really goes on. And when the cereal box, how much is a cereal box? Back in 2003 or whatever, you're paying like $3-4 for a box of cereal, maybe less if you're buying it in bulk. Yeah. Compared to how much does a GameCube game cost?
Yeah. Sell a disc for whatever, $30.
Like, it's a very, very good flip. I mean, you're making 10 times what you're spending.
Yeah, now people are buying cereal boxes for the Pokemon cards.
Yeah. It's just strange that there are Pokemon cards that are worth more than video games.
Yeah, and they're putting it in cereal. That was.
Well, those cards are actually kind of worthless, though. That's the problem. Like, they become inflated because you have like one person going around and just taking all of them. So the card becomes rare, even though they're not. It's like a false scarcity, because the most worthless cards are the ones that are part of promotions. Like, everybody thinks, the Lugia card or whatever that came with Pokemon 2000 the movie, that's got to be worth something. It's like, no, because everybody got it with their fucking tickets. It's worthless. There's thousands of them out there.
Yeah. Thanks, scalpers.
I'm just gonna start buying tickets to Pokemon movies I'm never gonna watch for the cards. Which would be worthless too. Like you get Detective Pikachu got a whole pack. They gave you like 7 cards, so that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, maybe the cost of a movie is about the same cost of a booster pack. That's not that bad. But back in the day, they only gave you 1 card with your ticket, and it's like a movie ticket is worth way more than a single fucking Pokemon card.
So here's a question: why are they making a Sonic 2 but not a Detective Pikachu 2?
They were talking about wanting to make a follow-up to Detective Pikachu, but I don't think there needs to be a sequel to Detective Pikachu. There needs to be more Pokemon movies. Because since Detective Pikachu takes place in the main Pokemon universe, like the game verse, any movie that you make in that line would be in the same universe. Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Kind of snuck out on me. But the team's more interested in making a Smash Brothers movie, and I'm like,
It doesn't have to be exactly a Detective Pikachu 2.
Yeah,
basically another story, with the same cast, same creators, whatever.
I mean, the Pokemon world is a very vast world. It's basically supposed to be the size of our world. Just like a parallel reality. And the funny thing about it, too, is you never see a good portion of the world in any game because all of the regions are so small. Right? Like, half of the beginning regions take place in Japan, and Japan's not that big of a place. Right?
Yeah.
Like, the Kanto region sits where freaking Tokyo is. In fact, I think the first game is smaller than Breath of the Wild. And,
we know where the Alola region is.
Yeah. It's Hawaii, but it's smaller than Hawaii. Right? All of them are kind of smaller. Maybe the world itself is smaller. Maybe it's like half the size of our world. I don't know. Because what's X and Y? I'm trying to remember the name of it. God, what's the name of the region in that one? But it's basically France. It's shaped like France.
Johto?
No, it's
I don't know the regions.
God, that's the one I can't remember because there's like Kanto, Johto, Sinnoh, or Hoenn, Sinnoh, Unova, Kalos. Kalos is the name of the region.
Oh.
I had to go in order. That's how I ended up finally remembering it. The Kalos region is France. Yeah, I said Unova. Yeah. That's just New York. But it's weird. It's not just New York City or a small section of New York. It's basically an amalgam of the rest of the United States just crammed into New York.
Yeah. What are the Sevi Islands?
I don't know. I guess they're supposed to be somewhere in the Pacific Islands. But the Sevi Islands are basically Pokemon Season 2 of the anime had these orange islands that people went to, right? And everybody was always upset that they never made an Orange Island game. So I think when they remade Fire Red or Red and Green as Fire Red and Leaf Green in the 3rd gen style with Ruby and Sapphire, they added these islands you could go to called the Sevi Islands. So they were like a bonus place on top of Kanto. And I'm guessing those were supposed to be like the actual canon parallel to the Orange Islands. There's also just a way for you to get like Johto Pokemon and stuff that weren't available otherwise in the base Kanto game or in the tradable Ruby and Sapphire games.
Now, according to a game theory I recently watched, Ash actually won the Orange Islands tournament, didn't he?
Yeah.
Which people were all, saying, oh, it's such a big deal that Ash won his first tournament like a couple years ago.
No, it was that he won his first Pokemon League. The Orange Islands were in a Pokemon League. They were kind of a
That's
different
not
thing.
Pokemon?
No, it was not
Oh.
like the Indigo League or anything like that. It was very different
Oh.
because it didn't even really have gym battles. They had something that was similar to a gym, but they had like gym challenges, which is funny because it's kind of what the Alola trials were trying to be, but they just weren't. And basically he had to do, it was like an Elite Four challenge, right? And they did it because the Indigo League wasn't the Elite Four at the end of the game, right? And that kind of confused people. So the Orange Islands are like the Elite Four, but scattered across islands. So he had a challenge, and they weren't even the Elite Four. Well, I think only Lorelei. Lorelei was the only one who was there, and I think they even changed her name in the show. But you could tell it's the same character. She had the same Pokemon. She looked the same.
Yeah.
And what they did was, it was like there was kind of a slight battle, but the battle was a competition where you had to use the same type of Pokemon for the most part. I guess you really didn't have to. And they had to, like for the ice one, you had to use an ice sculpture to carve a canoe out of ice, or a bobsled, and you had to race her down the mountain. And I can't remember the whole thing. It's been a long time since I watched the Orange Islands, but they weren't traditional battles. And then at the very end, he ended up doing like a traditional battle against Lance, because then there was kind of a tournament, but it wasn't actually like a Pokemon stream or Pokemon League. Yeah.
Yeah. So what is the Galar region?
Galar is the newest one. That's Sword and Shield.
Yeah. What is
that's
the
England.
equivalent on Earth? Oh, it's England.
Jolly old England, yeah.
Interesting. We're gonna run out of countries.
They'll never run out of countries. They'll just start making up their own.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at Kalos, and it is very clearly France.
Yeah, even the Lumos City in the center is basically just Paris. They even have like their own equivalent to the Eiffel Tower.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. Do they have Omaha, Utah Beach?
No.
No. Bunch of cemeteries.
There are a bunch of cemeteries in Pokemon, funny enough, though.
Yeah.
But you'd have to, like, where else do ghost Pokemon come from? That's actually the weirdest thing when you think about it, right? Because ghost Pokemon can come from an egg, which means you can be born a ghost. But, like, in the older games, they heavily implied that the ghost came from dead Pokemon, at least in the English translations. I haven't looked at the Japanese translations in a long time. But, like, once they started breeding and Pokemon could come from eggs and you could be born a ghost Pokemon. But a lot of the Pokedex information still kind of says that, like, this is the conglomeration of many different spirits. And you're like, how does this work mechanically? Like...
I don't know.
Right, if
Unreal Engine is still compiling shaders, damn it.
Yeah. Like, what's that one? Mimikyu, which is a mimic that looks like a child's stuffed animal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And it's like, it possessed the stuffed animal or whatever. But you can get a Mimikyu from an egg. Yeah.
I don't know. I can't explain it.
I like to think that none of the information in the Pokedex is even true. Like, at all.
Mm-hmm. Well,
because a
theory
10-year-old is writing it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And what the hell does a 10-year-old know about the world? Oh, this slug is as hot as the sun. You don't even know how fucking hot the sun is. You didn't even go to school. Right. This is your schooling. You're fucking 10.
You're just making shit up.
Yeah. Like, well, you know, the sun's pretty hot on a summer day. You can't compare a slug to a summer day and say it's as hot as the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Charizard's flames could melt through boulders. Have you seen this? Or are you just making shit up?
Well, I'm not a big enough Pokemon fan to add any more.
Yeah. I don't even know how we got on a Pokemon in the first place. Oh, Detective Pikachu. That's it. Why? Yeah. Because you were asking like Sonic 2. Sonic 2, I think we were talking about it before too. It seems like it should have been Sonic 1. It's like this problem with like, why are we making setup prequel movies to movies that don't need prequels before the movie that's even made?
Yeah.
Like, does anybody actually need an origin story for Sonic the Hedgehog? That's not even really an origin story either.
Yeah, not really. And they made up a new...
It's more of an origin story to Eggman, I guess, but did we need an origin story to Eggman?
Probably not.
Yeah.
I don't think we need origin stories to any of these characters. We've already discussed how we don't need origin stories to any superheroes. We can just jump right in. Everyone already...
Well, I mean, there's some things that need origin stories, but once you become an icon, right? Like, everybody knows who Sonic the Hedgehog is.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody needs an origin story to Sonic the Hedgehog. He's fucking Sonic the Hedgehog.
That's right. Now we're gonna get an origin story for Tails, I guess. And Knuckles, maybe?
Yeah. Knuckles the Echidna. Who's got 4 dicks.
Is that gonna be canon?
I don't know. Movie? But I mean, that's true about echidnas.
Yeah.
What they should do is like, instead of starting out with the origin story, they should do like a lot of comics did, right? A lot of times a character was introduced first through like some weird story, and then they'll rewind back. It's like, well, if you like this character, this is where they came from. That's where the prequel belongs.
Right. Well, that's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Other than, make a follow-up to Detective Pikachu.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I found it better than Sonic.
Oh, by far. Like, it's not even close. Speaking of dumb things, you want to talk about something dumb?
Sure.
Kingdom Hearts. Okay, end story. No, but so apparently Kingdom Hearts, which is one of the most convoluted series ever, I gave everybody kind of a brief rundown of the story in like 15 minutes once. I'm honestly kind of proud that I could fit the whole story in 15 minutes, as it took them like 10 games and God knows how many hours. But Kingdom Hearts 4, for some reason, could be titled Kingdom Hearts X. Right? Which would be more like the Greek letter chi, or ki, which makes sense. There's story reasons for that. But the fact that usually the Final Fantasy creators use Roman numerals for everything, and suddenly you go from 3 to X, which usually means 10, that could be really fucking confusing. As if Kingdom Hearts needs to be any more confusing than it already is.
Yeah. Of course, it's entirely possible there have been 9 games. I feel like there's more than that have come out for Kingdom Hearts.
It's close to 10 already. Like...
Yeah.
Can I even name them all? I probably don't even know all the games, to be honest. And I could probably name like 9 of them. Because there was like Kingdom Hearts 1, Chain of Memories, 356 over 2, Kingdom Hearts 2, Birth by Sleep, Dream Drop Distance, Recoded, what's the 2.8, which was actually a completely different game for reasons. Kingdom Hearts 3, I feel like I'm missing one somewhere, or I think I've already hit 9. Yeah.
And it'd be one thing if you could just play 1, 2, and 3, and the others were like spin-offs. But it's like if you really want to understand everything with the story, you kind of have to play them all.
Yeah, like if it was supplementary information, even that wouldn't be that bad. But there's like key information you need, pun intended, in these different games.
Yeah.
Even Union Cross. Actually, this is the one that should piss people off, right? It's not that big of a deal. You don't have to play Union Cross to understand things, but there are important information in a mobile game, which there is a single-player version of it now. You still have to play it on mobile, but if you buy it, it just has the whole game, and you can play it by yourself, which is fine. You don't need a server to play it. But there is a scene in 3 where it actually has, like, the names of the top players on the side helping you against, like, this flare that's coming down. And it was, like, the people who were, like, the best at the end of Union Cross. Their characters were basically cameoed in there as just names of people helping you. Like, why would you make a mobile game important to your series?
Mm-hmm. I have no idea.
Fucking Tetsuya Nomura. That's the problem. He's been at it for a long time too, right? So I told you, he one of the things that he did first was animation for like sprites and stuff like that. But he was working with concepts. He was pretty involved with things way back in the SNES games. In fact, he drew the concepts for the Warring Triad back in Final Fantasy VI, and gave them different names. Do you know what the Fiend, or was it the Fiend, or the Demon, the thing that was originally supposed to be Doom? It was translated to Doom here in the U.S., but it's Demon is its actual name. Was originally supposed to be called Sephiroth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there was supposed to be a Sephiroth all the way back in Final Fantasy VI, and he liked the name so much that then there was also a character named Sephiroth in 7.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that guy, when he sticks to an idea, he doesn't drop it. He'll just hold it forever until he finally gets the chance to use it.
Yeah, clearly.
It's like, why? Why would you name it Kingdom Hearts X? That's just confusing.
So it looks like they're doing, there's like a story update. What is this Kingdom Hearts Union X?
That's Union Cross.
Union Cross.
Yeah.
Final
so Union Cross was
update.
the mobile game. It was a multiplayer game that you could play with other people. You could play most of it by yourself. But there was like raid events and stuff like that. And it basically kind of went through all of the story of Kingdom Hearts, but it also took place before the story of Kingdom Hearts. Is actually kind of the Keyblade Wars that are talked about in the game. It's actually, you don't have to play it to understand the main story because they tell you everything you need to know about the Keyblade Wars and stuff like that. But if you really want to experience it, it's actually fucking important to the whole franchise. That game is actually one of the most important games, and it's a stupid fucking mobile game that the servers could get shut down at any time.
Yeah, that's pretty dumb.
Yeah. This is actually one of my biggest complaints about mobile games. I was talking to... I wasn't in the chat. I was in the actual, like, text chat next to the stream. But you hopped in the stream later, the stream chat. It was when my friend Stan was in that group talking about the Dragon Quest, which we could talk about the Dragon Quest 35th anniversary a little bit, too. There were some cool announcements on there, and we haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah.
But one of the topics that everybody was talking about was how mobile games are actually really bad for the continuity of game series. Because a lot of companies, Square specifically, but a lot of companies are actually now making mobile games key to the canon of all of these franchises, even if it's a spin-off game.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah, because one day the server could get shut down. And I was complaining about a game that's not canon. Or maybe it is, because the way the worlds in Final Fantasy works, everything could be canon and nothing at the same time. But Mobius Final Fantasy was one of the ones that pissed me off, because I was really enjoying that game. And the server got shut down. And now I can't even go back or anything. They didn't make, like, a mass update where it's like, okay, all the content that was in the game, you can play it. It'll be on your phone now. You just don't get to play with other people. I would be fine with that. Just let me finish the fucking game. There was content that I hadn't done yet. At least Dragon Quest hasn't made a mobile game that is like a key to like the history or anything yet. But I can think of another series by, I think, a different dev. I forgot who makes Breath of Fire. Do you know? Because I want to yell at them.
Breath of Fire.
Yeah. Breath of Fire is made... Capcom. I want to yell at Capcom. Yes, they are still making Breath of Fire 6. The actual main title, Breath of Fire 6, was a mobile game that required you to be logged in to play. It wasn't like you purchase the mobile game and play it. It was an actual online connect to the server mobile game.
Yeah.
So now, if somebody's going through the series, whenever Breath of the Fire 7 comes out, they have to go from 5 to 7 without 6.
So you can't play 6 anymore.
No.
That's dumb.
Yeah, it is dumb. Fucking Capcom.
What were they?
Square's not the only one who gets my ire. You deserve some too, Capcom. Fuck you.
Yeah. And why did they call Breath of Fire 5 just Dragon Quarter?
I don't know. That's such a long time ago, too. I remember when Dragon Quarter came out. I forget what frickin' system it was on, but it's like either GameCube or like PlayStation 2. It was that era. And Dragon Quarter was the worst. I think I told you about this. It had this mechanic where like your character was like the dragon or whatever, and you had this meter that was building up at the top, and at no point could you let the meter hit 100%, or else you turned into a dragon and killed everyone. And that was like game over. And you were trying to get to the surface world. So you were going through like mine shafts and stuff, going up floors and floors to get to the surface. That was the whole point of that game. Dragon Quarter was stupid.
Sounds like it. Well, another company that pissed me off in a similar way is Level 5, who made Fantasy Life, one of my favorite games on 3DS.
Yeah.
And when they made Fantasy Life 2, they made it a mobile game. And it's Japan only. I'm like, sons of bitches.
Yep.
Fantasy Life was an awesome game.
Like, I get the appeal of making mobile games. I get it.
Yeah.
But
like make a spin-off.
Yeah, make a spin-off.
Like Animal Crossing Pocket Camp.
Yeah.
That's fine. I played Pocket Camp.
You can even put your main game that way. That's fine. But you need to do two things if you do that. One, much like how Genshin Impact was released on multiple platforms at once, if it's primarily a mobile game, make sure there is a platform release of the game available as well. It's not that hard. And two, make sure you have a single-player, standalone copy ready for when you shut your servers down.
Yeah.
I can even understand requiring people to participate on the server during the main life of the game. I get that, right? Because that's part of the experience of the game. But you need to have a version of it ready that people can play when you inevitably shut down the servers. These are the two requirements I have for you to make an important game in your series a mobile game. They're not hard to fill.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if it's just, this is an MMO and that's just it. You know, it's not connected to anything else or whatever. Because even like Final Fantasy 11, are there official servers left for that?
Yeah, I think you could still play it through like Steam and stuff like that. Most people play through like fan-made servers, like the private servers and stuff. That's how most people play the game. But you can purchase it and play it on Steam.
Yeah, but like MMOs that have come and gone, it's not that big of a deal if it's just a standalone MMO and it's like, oh well. It would be nice if you could keep playing those games, and sometimes people make fan servers and stuff like that. But
it'd be nice if they would port Dragon Quest X over to the US, but they don't want to compete against Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, but like when it's an seemingly important game in a series like Dragon Quest X, it would be nice.
Yeah, or as everybody's been asking, it's like, I know you don't think the American audience is big enough. Honestly, it really isn't. Just make a single-player version of the game. It's not that hard. Give you some like AI partners to fill in the gaps of the other people, and just have a single-player version of the game. Make it like Final Fantasy 12 for all I care.
Yeah. I guess I've been considering at least trying out Final Fantasy 14. I know you like 11 better, but
I do want to get into 14. I just don't want to pay the freaking service.
Yeah, I'd probably sooner try Dragon Quest 10.
Yeah,
than either of those.
I would too, because it plays more like a Dragon Quest game.
Yeah, and it just seems a bit more accessible. Like Final Fantasy, like, they're good and fairly simple at the beginning, but they get to be really complex. And I feel like in an MMO, it would be like World of Warcraft. Because I like World of Warcraft. I like starting a character from scratch in World of Warcraft. But once you get to like level, I don't know, at some point, it just gets too complex, and I just lose it.
Well, see, that's where I really start liking the game. But I've always felt like when it comes to complexity and stuff like that, Final Fantasy's always handled that better than other series have. Like, every Final Fantasy game, the final boss is probably going to be between 65 and 70. But they plan for your characters to get to 99. Like, that is one of the intent of the game after the first one, because obviously the first one was originally balanced around, like, level 50 instead, so everything was a lot lower. But, like, after that, they're planning on things getting to, like, level 99. And the complexity really has never been that bad with those games. And even 11 handled it very fine. Like, it was pretty good.
I've seen people play in Final Fantasy 14, and there's icons all over the screen, and I'm like, oh, God, that looks like World of Warcraft. It's just too much.
Yeah, well, that's also because they want to do that, right? Yeah, because you can control how many icons are on the screen, how many that you like quick access and stuff like that onto your shortcut bar. Now, if you're really gonna raid and you're like dedicated to it, obviously you're gonna need that much. But if you're just doing like the main story content, you actually don't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
The complicated part is the job system. That's actually what's going to make things too complicated for you, because they decided they wanted to remake the entire job system and make it way too complex.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you have to unlock jobs by leveling other jobs. It's a prestige system.
That's another thing that I don't like about Final Fantasy V, and also Dragon Quest 3? Is that the one where you can like change jobs and stuff like that? I don't know. It's just, I feel like I like Final Fantasy VI because you can't change your jobs. You can pick characters that have different abilities, but you don't feel like you're missing out. Like,
I love job systems. They're my favorite.
Like in Final Fantasy V, where I was like, oh shit, it would have been so much better if I'd chosen if I'd been a blue mage.
You would like Octopath a lot more than you would like Bravely Default.
Yeah. Because it's just like, okay, well, shoot, I spent all my time leveling red mage and it sucks. And now I got to go back and level blue mage, or
Yeah, because you could have just
it.
got a blue mage, learned White Wind very early on, have reflect on all of your team the entire time, and then just White Wind because it's not affected by reflect and heal your whole party at once.
There you go. I didn't know that.
But,
I didn't want to know that.
Yeah.
Wanted a straightforward game. Oh well. Zenonage saved me.
Yeah. But Dragon Quest, we actually got some pretty good reveals. People were expecting a lot of stuff. There was a lot of people that were actually expecting them to make some type of announcement of like Western Dragon Quest X. Is like this. It's not gonna happen, guys. It's not gonna happen. They don't care that much about the Western audience of Dragon Quest because there's not much of a Western audience of Dragon Quest. Like, you gotta understand that. They did have a Dragon Quest X announcement. They, Part 6 or whatever, version 6 is coming out. And they're including the freaking Celestials. So probably like a 9 reference or whatever, or some continuation. But aside from that, as I said, they're never porting it here. But we got a really cool announcement, one that I'm actually looking forward to, talking about Dragon Quest 3 and Octopath, is that they're the Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D remake, which is basically just Dragon Quest 3, but done in the visual art style of Octopath Traveler, and it looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
Even the way the battles, like, it does the whole... Because, when you're Dragon Quest, you're used to looking dead on at your enemies, so they have, like, the party view at first, and then it does, like, that kind of, like, parallax shift into the classic Dragon Quest view, and it looks great.
Why did they choose Dragon Quest 3?
It's the most popular Dragon Quest game. Yeah, by far, especially in Japan, but even outside of it, 3 is the most popular Dragon Quest game. Hori did say that they're interested in making the other ones. Well, at first he said that, like, we're just waiting to make the other ones, and they started blowing the whistle on him. I don't know how much of that was a bit and how much of it was real, because Hori does have a history of leaking information by accident because he's just so excited about what they're working on. Like, that's probably one of the reasons why Dragon Quest has been such a consistent game over the years and has, for the most part, been consistently good. Like, I didn't like the story for 5 through 7. But, I'll pick it back up. Everybody says 8 is so great. And people consistently say that 6 is like the worst Dragon Quest, so I'm not surprised that I didn't enjoy the story on that one. But Hori's been there from the beginning, and he's like the father of Dragon Quest, and that's the reason why the games have been so consistent over the years. And he's just so excited about the games all the time. It's his baby. So he was like, yeah, we're going to work on 1 and 2 in the same style, and then they're like blowing a whistle. I'm like, Hori, you're not allowed to say that. Stop it. And then he's like, oh, no, well, we're just interested. We want to be able to do it. They're still blowing the whistle on him for even saying that. Like, part of it's probably a bit because of his history, but part of it's also they have the whistle ready in case he does blow his load.
Isn't 5 pretty popular too? Because I didn't
5
even
is popular. I didn't care for it, but that's the most requested sequel or like remake of any game, period, is Dragon Quest 5.
Yeah. What I didn't realize was the Dragon Quest anime on Netflix is 100% based on 5.
Yeah.
It's based on Dragon Quest 5. I had no idea. I guess I haven't played 5 enough. I think I've just played the beginning of it and never really got into it. But once I saw the story of 5, I was like, oh my gosh, that's the anime.
Yeah. I didn't care for 5. I didn't care for 5, 6, or 7. I don't know.
What about 4?
I liked 4. I liked 1 through 4. I thought those were great games. And I know 5 is like an ancestral sequel to 4 because it did the same thing that 1, 2, and 3 did, where it went like 4, 5, and then 6 goes before both of them.
Yeah. But did you play the first 4 on the NES?
Yeah, I played the original versions of them.
Yeah.
I only owned 2, but my cousins had the other ones.
It's kind of amazing that they did 3 and 4 on the NES.
But yeah, so we're getting that. I'm really excited for that, right? And a lot of people are complaining too. Like, I'd rather have, like, even in the chat, because I did have the pop-up window for the actual main chat. I wanted to see what the reactions were to, like, people watching the YouTube stream. And, like, people were just like, no, we wanted it in the 11 style. What are you doing? It's like, man, what are you talking about? I thought this, I mean, 11 doesn't look bad at all. Like, it looks like if you took Akira Toriyama's artwork and turned it into CG. Like, it looks perfectly fine. But I love that Octopath Traveler kind of style of things. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's my aesthetic when it comes to games. I think it took a really long time for me to find, like, what I consider the perfect gaming aesthetic to be. But I think that's it. Like, from my personal perspective. I want every game done in a pixelated pop-up world like that.
I love the look of Octopath. The only reason I've been reluctant to even try it is just because it's a new story that I'm just, I've got so many other games and everything.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, to get into a new, I'm going to have to carve out some time. I want to try Octopath Traveler, but
I need to finish streaming it. And talk about carving out time for something. I haven't streamed anything other than this show.
Yeah. I need to finish a whole bunch of stuff before I get into a new game. Yeah.
Oh, and the expected announcement happened at the end of the night too. Everybody kind of expected it to happen. The logo for the 35th anniversary, which, man, it's so weird thinking that Dragon Quest is 35 years old. But it had 12 leaves in the logo. When the host walked up, there was a grandfather clock in the back, and he walked up to it. They started just after noon, like maybe 10 minutes after noon in Japanese time. So he sits and he adjusts the hand back up to noon, so both of the hands are pointing straight up. There was a lot of 12s throughout the entire presentation, and at the very end, they announced that Dragon Quest 12 was happening.
Yeah, of course. Of course, it didn't give you anything but the logo.
Nope. Just right. You know what? They gave you more than Skyrim did, right? At least it had, like, because Skyrim, it was animated, but it was just like, it was the JPEG of the logo on, like, a mountainscape background, right? At least this had, like, this really sleek animation of everything being made, even kind of like a teaser. It's like, oh, is this a new part to 11? It's like, no, look how long those lines are. Clearly there's another line coming down. It's 12. And it looks like it's very fire-oriented and very dark.
The second line came down on the wrong side.
Yeah. They were trying to fuck with you, like, really bad. They were trying to fuck with you.
Yeah, like the lines were so long. You're like, oh, there's gonna be a 1, and then there's gonna be another next to it. But then they put it to the left. I was like, what? That's a weird place to put that.
That's their humor.
All right.
They have a really. Yeah. I really like the aesthetic of the show. Like, their little kind of like den lodge setup that they had there it was really nice. But
yeah,
they said that this is going to be very different from the previous games. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't know how to interpret that either. Right? So it's not going to be the straightforward command system that we previously had, which is basically the system that Dragon Quest has had since Dragon Quest was Dragon Quest. Like, even the first one, you're just using commands. So I don't know what that means.
Like, they're gonna turn it into what? Like Final Fantasy 15?
No, probably not, because I don't think Hori's still in charge. I don't think Hori would do something like that. Now, you do kind of do something like the command system in 10, but because you're dealing with other people, it's not so straightforward. Maybe they're pulling a Final Fantasy 12 and they're trying to make a game that functions more like Dragon Quest X's MMO does, which wouldn't be the end of the world if they did that, especially if they're trying to tie into 10 more.
I can see that. I've never seen any gameplay of 10. really. I mean, except for like the trailer and stuff.
Because it's basically the command system, but made more fluid so you can play with other people.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll be like, hey, remember how Final Fantasy did the ATB system years ago?
They're gonna start doing that.
Yeah. It's like they kind of threw that away. Because even the later games that used an ATB system, it was kind of just like a visual to make it look like it was still Final Fantasy, when instead they're trying to make as active gameplay as possible, which I guess the ATB system was that attempt in the first place. But I don't know. I don't want Dragon Quest to become like Final Fantasy, like at all.
Yeah, because then in Dragon Quest 20 will be like lightning returns.
Except probably with a better story.
Yeah.
Because it depends, right? The thing is, Dragon Quest is only going to stay good as long as Hori is still alive, right? Like even if Toriyama works himself to death and can't participate on character creation and plot lines and stuff like that with Hori, it would still be good. They would find something to emulate his style. Hori'd be calling the shots. But if Hori dies, which, I mean, he's getting up there in age. He's looking good for his age, but what is he, like, in his 60s or something? The whole system goes with him.
Yeah.
It's kind of like with Final Fantasy, right? Like, you remember, did I tell you why Sakaguchi actually left? So, Sakaguchi, his last game he worked on was 9. That was the last game that he worked on as the director. I think I told you Final Fantasy X is when they shifted over to another director. Before that, his assistant director, I can't remember his last name right now, was the guy who had the idea for 8. That was basically his project, right? 8 sold way better than 9. Like, 9 did not even catch up to 8. And they decided they were going to continue going in directions like that. And that's why Sakaguchi left, because he had a different vision for Final Fantasy than Square and everybody else did.
Yeah.
If Sakaguchi was still there and still had the reins, I think Final Fantasy would have continued being a much better series.
Yeah. So he didn't want to go this wider audience route, supposedly, quote unquote.
Well, it's also about the time that you start to see Uematsu leaving too, right? Because you start seeing other composers on Final Fantasy X and on. And it's probably for the same reason, but also because they still work together. I think Uematsu and Sakaguchi are friends, right? That's like, okay, I'm gone.
Yeah.
Especially because Fantasian, which I can't play, fucking Apple, because it's only available on Apple, iOS and stuff. So I can't play Fantasian.
Is that out yet?
Yeah, it's out. You can play it. It's just if you have an Apple product. It's only on the Apple Store. Yeah,
I didn't know it was actually available.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was coming out for a while.
That was this year.
That's the one
with Sakaguchi and Uematsu working together. Yeah.
Where everything is the
diorama.
The dioramas.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And I was super excited to play a game where I saw Sakaguchi and Uematsu working together again. And then I saw it was only available in the Apple Store.
I had no idea it was actually coming. It was actually out already.
I'm told it's out.
When did this? It is out.
Yeah.
I'm downloading it. When did this come out?
I don't know. Because I even Googled it, and the Wikipedia page just says initial release 2021. I feel like it dropped in the middle of the night one night, and nobody even knows what night. They just realized it was on the store.
Yeah. That's interesting. Oh, okay. Wait. Version history. Wow. It came out 3 months ago.
Yeah.
Jesus.
All right. Yeah, it's been out for a while, but I can't play it. I'm gonna find a workaround.
I might have to. How can I? Wonder if you can do like a. What do you call it? Screen mirroring or something.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
Well, I have a part of the device that you need for that. I have a freaking what's it called? Can't think of the word right now. The thing I use for my camera, the HDMI to USB converter, right?
Yeah.
Because if you really want to do it right, you just need to get a HDMI to whatever the iPhone cable outlet is. You plug that in to one of those converters, and it will basically use it like a camera device, right? Now, there are ways of doing it with plugging it directly into a computer, but that starts to make like encoding problems.
Mm-hmm.
So it's better off to just get an adapter like that.
Yeah. Well, I have Reflector, but I don't know how well it works.
Mm-hmm.
How well the current version works, but it should be interesting.
I started playing
cool.
War of the Visions, the Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, and man, it's actually a really fun game. It's completely an original story. I don't even think. Usually with these games, the longer they go on, eventually you can start summoning actual Final Fantasy characters. They're the Visions. I played the original Brave Exvius, which was a turn-based RPG. It's still running. It's pretty good. I went back in, and there's a Full Metal Alchemist event running in Brave Exvius right now. Very first pull, I got Alphonse Elric and Edward Elric, like almost one after each other. Because I always have like stupid dumb luck when it comes to gacha games. But Brave Exvius was a turn-based RPG. That didn't mean if over level you could just leave on auto and they handle everything, but it actually had full RPG options. Like you could pick commands like spells and attacks, and you could pick your target and everything. It was its own story, and you could get these visions, this is where the gacha mechanics come in, and you summon Final Fantasy characters to help you in the quests.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the game, but there was one thing I hated about it. And it's one of those games where repeat summons are still unique characters. Right? So you could own like 4 lightnings. And you had to actually manually go and sacrifice your other like 3 lightnings to make your main one stronger and stuff like that. I don't like it when they run games like this. Because also the drop rates tend to be stupid when you do that too. The War of Visions, which is not a traditional turn-based RPG, it is the next step, which I thought this was more of a truer upgrade to the turn-based RPG than the ATB system. It's a tactics game.
Yeah.
And the combat's great, actually. I love it. You can still auto again if you want to. The game even recommends you auto. Like one of the first things they teach you is to turn the auto on. But there's a lot of things you can't use the auto in. Like you can't use the auto in challenge dungeons and stuff like that. You're better off just getting used to doing things the old-fashioned way. Anyway, plus it makes it more of a game. Like who wants the game playing itself for you, right? But right now I haven't seen any traditional Final Fantasy characters in it. Maybe they'll come as visions later. It's all original characters. It's got a really cool storyline. It's fully voice acted. And the way the visions work in this one to get even just the normal characters for the game is you unlock a character once. And if you get a repeat summon, they are immediately turned into shards that just go to that character. And then you can choose to limit break them, which will raise their level cap and stuff like that. I like it when systems work like that much better. It's easier to keep track of what you do and don't have and stuff like that. Because functionally it's the same, no matter which way you do it. It's just when they break them into shards, that's skipping a step for you. And I guess the other way you could have 4 of the... Well, no, because I think they limit you that you can only have one of each type of character in a party anyway. In the original Brave Exvius, it's like you can't have two lightnings in a party. It's like, well, what's the point in letting me have two lightnings then? Right?
Yeah.
Like in older games, like the original League of Angels, when you did that, you could have multiples of the same character in a party. And that's actually kind of a worth-off trade, like a trade-off for doing something like that. But in games that don't let you, it's like, what's the point? Just break them into shards for me, because that's all I'm going to do with that character anyway. But it's cool. I've been enjoying it. I think it's really fun. I would recommend it to people. I just, it's the problem with the mobile game. Eventually, the servers are going to be gone. Don't drop money into it.
Exactly.
Or you can drop money into it. I do believe you should support things you enjoy. Just don't go crazy, right? Like, I would never drop... Well, actually, I probably wouldn't even drop that much. But as like a flat line, I would never drop more than the cost of a full game on one of these mobile games.
Yeah.
Unless it's running so long that its lifespan and updates have been the worth of multiple games, right? Like, if a mobile game runs for 10 years and they give you 3 games worth of content, feel free to drop like $180 on it over its lifetime.
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, just sit there and like actually, like, what value am I getting out of this game? Even if it shuts down, it's like, am I getting enough value? Then sure, support a game you like. But there's people who drop like thousands of dollars on gacha games that aren't even going to last like 3 years. And that's just stupid. Most of them are lucky if I even drop 5 on them.
I mean, like I said, I dropped a little bit on Pocket Camp, but
that's fine. Pocket Camp's still going too. Like, talk about life longevity.
Yeah, seriously. But even that, I wasn't gonna drop more than, I don't know probably $20-$25 over the span of the time when I played it. So.
Yeah.
I guess
it's a good game too. I don't ever drop money. I don't think I've dropped money on any of Nintendo's mobile games at all. I'm trying to think. What did I drop money in? I know there was a mobile game that I dropped like $5 on.
I don't think I spent any money on like Super Mario Run or whatever it's called.
Yeah. That's like the only one that'd be worth spending money on too, because you need to spend like $10 to unlock the rest of the game or whatever, right? Like, you need to buy the game to play most of it. Like, I could get it if people bought, like, World 1 was just a demo, basically. If you want to buy the game and play that, that's fine. I'm more inclined to spend money on one-time purchases and stuff of a game. Oh, did you know there's a Final Fantasy trading card game? Talking about something that I might actually just lose money on.
Really?
They need to make a digital version of it. The rules seem pretty simple. It's one of those games where it looks like it's got a very low, like, entry level when it comes to difficulty. Like, almost anybody could pick it up and start playing it. But it's got so many little complexities to it that the skill cap for strategy is actually really high.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I like games like that because it handles like a wide range of gameplay with like different user capability. Because tight games, things with like a very tight bar,
13.
has like it takes forever for you to actually get into something that has like a tight range. And then by the time you get into it, you're going to get bored with it because the cap is going to be too low as well.
So this just came out in March.
Yeah.
Just a couple of months ago.
And I only found out about it like 3 days ago.
Wow.
And it looks really fun.
So, yeah, look at this booster box. Holy crap. And of course, the what do you call it? The mascot is Lightning.
Yeah. Because they've been trying to make Lightning their mascot for quite some time.
Called Opus 13 Crystal Radiance.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna go broke.
All right, like where do you go to play it? I mean,
I don't know. That's the problem. Like, that's the only thing that's stopping me from getting into it.
Yeah, you'd have to find other people who are into trying a new card game and going broke.
Basically, I'd have to get my deck. They'd have to get theirs. We'd have to all play on the honor system and have to set a camera up that faces down on my mat. And they have to set a camera up that faces down on their mat.
Yeah. You can't find anyone local?
Probably not.
I wonder if my local comic book store has like D&D nights or trading card nights.
A lot of comic book stores do. Yours probably does.
Yeah. Problem with my comic book store is they recently, I guess the owner had owned two, and he closed one of them and took all the inventory and put it in the other one, so it's a complete disaster area. It's just like packed. Like you can't even. There's no place to sit down. There's barely any place to walk. There's just boxes everywhere. It's insane. Actually, I haven't been there a few months, so maybe he's cleaned it up. But I don't. Unless he has a back room.
Oh yeah, he probably. Most of them have a back room.
Yeah.
I need you to just rewrite that entire sentence, Dario, because even just putting the word reading instead of ready, that doesn't really help me there.
I was on Kami Mark's gender swap stream earlier. I made a beautiful woman ranked in everyone's S tier. Do Metal and Marsupial do any reading as well?
Yeah, like I said, he just needs to rewrite that entire sentence.
Like, like, why do you ask?
I don't know.
Yes, I know how to read. I have read things.
I read. He's like, do you or Marsupial do any reading as well? Yeah. I read.
Like reading of what? Reading novels? Reading instructions for trading card games? Sure.
Yeah, I mean, the manual is actually really thick. Like the beginner's guide for the Opus 13, short. The actual full manual, I've read like trading card or like TTRPG booklets that are shorter than that. No,
how is it that this card game has? I was gonna say, how is it this card game has only been out for two months, and they already have banned cards and errata on their website?
I think in Japan, people have probably been looking forward to this for a while. They get news about this faster than we do.
Yeah.
But 2 months, it actually is no time to develop a meta. To be honest, and Japan hasn't been closed down like most of the rest of the world, right? Like they opened up tournaments and locals and stuff like that for everything months ago. So if something's only been out for 2 months, they've actually probably had people together and competing already.
Yeah. Why do they do banned cards?
Well, what you find out soon is it's impossible to run like skirmishes or sample fights on every single possible combination of cards. And you think a card you make is pretty balanced on its own, right? But then after it gets some use, you realize, oh my god, this card is really stupid and makes gameplay bad. So you don't stop casual people from using the card with each other, but you do stop them from using it in tournament because you want fair gameplay.
Yeah. So basically they've determined that these cards, some way or another, have made it so that if you use those cards, you're just like automatically guaranteed to win or something.
Yeah, or it's too disruptive to gameplay. It makes things way too like uneven. Like Yu-Gi-Oh does this too, and sometimes they don't outright ban cards. Sometimes they just put restrictions. Like you can only have Pot of Greed was actually banned for a while, and they took it in and out. And it's also had restrictions. I think currently it's still allowed, but you can only have one Pot of Greed in your deck instead of the normal limit that you can have 3 duplicates of any card in your deck.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about reading, currently, which I had gotten this for Christmas, or no, for my birthday, I think. Or is it Christmas? It was one of these things. My birthday is so close to Christmas, I can never remember. My brother got me a copy of the Dunwich Horror and some other Lovecraft stories. And there were like 3 other ones. I'd already read the Dunwich Horror, but it did have 2 stories in here I haven't read, because I had not read the Whisper in the Darkness or The Shadow at a Time. And I started reading The Whisper in the Darkness. I do read. But I'm also a novelist, so I have to read. If you don't have time to read, you don't have the means to write, to quote Stephen King.
Yeah. I'm not sure if I'm aware of any. What has R.A. Salvatore written? I'm not familiar with any of his works. The Crystal Shard?
I'm familiar with the Crystal Shard. I have not read it.
That's from 1988.
Yeah.
Oh, these are Dungeons and Dragons books. Oh, I bet I've read one of these.
I'm a novelist. Well, I mean, being a 29-year-old is actually pretty old to be a novelist. Mary Shelley wrote her first book when she was like 18, so...
There you go. It doesn't look like he's written any Dragonlance books. Yeah. And I think of D&D, I think I've only read Dragonlance.
Yeah.
I've not read any Forgotten Realms books. But I should.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of novelists and games and stuff like that, well, I thought it was funny is Brandon Sanderson has a series called Mistborn. And for some reason, Mistborn actually made it into Fortnite, which is cool. I mean, normally you don't think of something that doesn't have like a lot of media about it, making it into like a video game crossover. But one of the Mistborn characters is going to be in there. And I think that's cool. It's actually pretty fantastic. I'm not a huge fan of Fortnite, but it's cool when you see stuff like that.
Yeah. Awesome.
You need to know I'm right. Actually, I'm primarily a writer. I would say of all my trades, that's that's probably the one I do the most. I'm more of a writer than an artist. Just need to go back. I'm on chapter something or other. I need to finish Act 2. My dad keeps yelling at me to finish Act 2. I think I've brought this up on the show before. He's like, I keep reading this book. When's the next one coming out? I've read it 5 times now. Like, it comes out when I have time for it to come out. Especially because I'm writing like 3 books at the same time, too. I probably shouldn't be, but that's just how my brain works. I can't write 1 book at a time.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, like, because writing is an exercise in itself, right? It's just like art or anything that you do is kind of also an exercise because you're flexing the same muscles that you had to build up to do the thing you're doing. So I'll start writing one thing and I'll finish a chapter. And as I'm finishing the chapter, the gears will keep moving and I'll start thinking about the other thing I was working on. It's like, oh, I've got an idea for that now. And it's like, it's hard to stay on one thing because you've just got all these gears moving all the time.
Yeah, I can imagine. I find it hard to finish one game. I don't think I could finish a book. Like finish writing a book.
Yeah. Do you play soundtracks or playlists when you start writing? I do usually play music, mostly to drown everything else out. That's the main reason. sometimes if I really need to focus, like usually I'm listening to a lot of the same music that we listen to here while we're on the Vomitorium. I'll just like put on a bunch of OC Remix, or sometimes I'll go to Newgrounds Radio because they've got a lot of music on there. The Newgrounds Radio is great. But if I really need to focus, I'll pick a single song and I'll just leave it on repeat until it becomes white noise. So I don't have to focus on the song. It's just there to drown, like kind of have a rhythm to keep the flow going and drown out the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'll pick something that's fitting to like when you're playing a video game and there's background music, I'll pick something that's like fitting to whatever I'm like the scene I'm writing, and I'll just have like background music playing as I'm writing the scene to keep the tone and the mood and everything the same.
Yeah, that's smart. Have it just playing over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got all kinds of different songs for different things too, like different, like depending on the type of fight I'm writing, or if it's a chase scene, if it's just like a comedic relief or something like that, slice of life. I've got different things just to keep, because the thing is, like, you're putting on a show when you're writing, right? It's a show done entirely through words, but you are putting on a show. So a lot of your mood at the time that you're writing will influence the words that you put down. So I like to try to control what mood I'm in when I'm writing different scenes, so that I could try to like pass that on to the reader when they're reading it.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah. I just need to have an orchestra that can stand there and start playing whatever song I need at the time.
An orchestra.
Yeah, just my own
Right,
orchestra.
yeah.
It's like, okay, I need Looney Tunes chase music now.
And go.
Man, old cartoons, man, especially Looney Tunes, because what they would do is now what we do is we get the music and all the audio first, right? But the only audio they would ever do first back then was the voice acting, and then they would try to do like the mouth movements and stuff to the voice acting.
Yeah.
And then all of the soundstage stuff was done after the cartoon was done, and they would have the cartoon playing in front of the orchestra, and the conductor would try to keep the orchestra on the beats of the cartoon, so that like, okay, here's the song that's written, but the scene is actually going too fast and he hits this wall right here, so we need to make sure the beats match the scene. And it was a very complex practice that they don't do anymore, because now all the music is done like up front. And they don't even have the soundstage anymore. I think the Animaniacs, the original, was the last cartoon that they recorded the symphony on the same soundstage as the old Looney Tunes in the Warner Brothers lot. It's kind of like a lost art.
So do they do the music first and then try to make the animation match the music?
Now, yeah, because you can. The animation's also a lot quicker of a process. It's also cheaper. I mean, there's some good animation, but for the most part, if you've ever seen a modern cartoon, it doesn't look as good as old cartoons, right? Things are too sharp. Some things are a little too bubbly, I guess is the word. Not necessarily like always the characters look bubbly, but their movements do. And it's because of like the digital processes that people use for animation now. And what you can do is you can basically draw the cartoon digitally over the sounds, right? In the studio. Like if you're in Toon Boom Studio or whatever, you can drop in the entire audio file, and you can draw frame by frame over where things are supposed to be, slide things over, movie. You don't actually have to do frame by frame for everything. So basically you can have like the entire recording first, and then you can animate over it.
Yeah. Interesting.
Of course, that only really works for the original. Obviously, if you're doing a dub, they have to still isolate the soundtrack from the voiceover. A lot of times what they'll do is you'll just mute everything and they'll give you all the sound effects in the voiceover or in the soundtrack, and you have to compile that back in with the voices anyway. So if you were to actually layer the dub and the sub for something over each other, you'd actually sometimes the soundtrack you get a what's the term? Like when you have interference, you'd get interference from the sound, right? Because they would not be lined up properly, right? You'd like an echo almost, right? It'll be like a split second off sometimes, and because you have to redub over the already animated video because the lip flaps and everything. It does get more complicated. I think people who do dubs are actually closer to how they used to do animation than they do now, just because they're dealing with stuff that's already done.
Yeah. As opposed to, I guess, what do? They record people's voices and then they do the animation to the
because
the
you can match the lip flaps in the original dub exactly if you already have the voices.
Yeah.
And you can even get like gestures and stuff out too, because sometimes they'll leave video recordings of people doing the voices if you're like a prominent star, and you'll actually get like their movements and stuff out of it.
Yeah, I've seen that before. They actually record the person doing the voice.
I've done a little bit of voiceover here and there, most of them for projects that don't see the light of day. But when I get really into it, I think everybody should. When you do voiceover work, you need to like throw your body into it like you're actually doing acting, because that's what you are. You're doing acting. You need to do it entirely through your voice, but sometimes like talking with your hands and doing mannerisms really help you throw the character into your voice.
Yeah.
Voice actors are a lot like stage actors as opposed to like film actors. I actually have a buddy, the one I was talking about earlier, Stan Pie. Everybody should subscribe to his channel. His channel's not doing bad. He's got like 44,000 subscribers. I wish my channel was doing that good. But he's a voice actor, and he's done a lot of stuff, usually small products. Like he's been in a lot of Newgrounds videos and stuff like that, and he gets around. He does it professionally, gets paid for it, and he hosts seminars every so often for teaching newcomers about voice acting, and his seminars are pretty good. I don't know when the next one's happening, but I'll probably promote it in the Vomitorium whenever the next one's coming around. It's pretty cheap too. It's like a $20 sign up, and you get like several hours worth of insider information about the voice acting industry.
Cool.
Yeah.
I don't recall Dario says he played the Black Mirror Bandersnatch soundtrack when he was writing. I don't really recall that soundtrack, but if it helped, that sounds good.
Dude, my writing soundtracks are all over the place too sometimes. Like, well, of course, also my library is all over the place. So you guys only hear the video game remixes that I put in the background. I've got everything from like every fucking genre under the sun in my library. Because you hear about those people like, you know, I listen to a little of everything, and then you play something where it's like, no, you don't actually listen to a little of everything. I do listen to a little of everything. I've got like classic rock, hip hop, freaking death metal, all kinds of just like weird things all over the place. But I'm like one of those variety is the spice of life kind of guys. I have like the Louis Armstrong opinion, right? And he's always just like, he told people there's two types of music. He plays the good kind. I use the same ones. Like, I listen to the good kind. Because you can usually tell if you do have a wide, like, I guess, palette for music. that
Mm-hmm.
you could tell if something sounds good in like the genre or realm that it's supposed to be, like, or you could tell if something was half-assed.
Mm-hmm.
Like one of my favorite bands to
Right.
listen to when I'm just like in a mood or something is I will listen to this Japanese, I guess classically you could consider them like a hard rock band, but they're all over the place. They're like an experimental death metal band called Duran Gray. And
Mm-hmm.
that's some wild music.
Yeah. Apparently, Turkish pop and rock from the 70s and 80s was killer.
Oh,
According
I'm
to
sure.
Dario.
Turkish music in general is pretty good.
Yeah.
But
Absolutely.
yeah, my musical tastes are everywhere. Like, and I'll say that like I'm listening to the other day, or actually I was walking around town like a month ago. I'm always listening to music as I'm walking around town. Maybe it was 2 months ago, and I was getting like really strange looks. I'm used to getting strange looks, but this
Mm-hmm.
time I kind of knew exactly why I was getting strange looks. And I was listening to a song called Blossoming Beelzebub by Duran Gray. And it's a very,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can probably tell from the name of the song that it's out there, but it's this very vocal song. Like there's instrument stuff, but it's mostly the voice. And Keown, the lead singer, is doing like a lot of these really high pitch moaning sounds and stuff to the harmony that he's doing. He's actually singing words, but most people can't understand because they're in Japanese and they're very stretched out. So unless you understand the Japanese language, you might not even realize that he's saying words.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like somebody's being tortured, and I think that's kind of the point of the song. And then immediately after this, like really eerie sound, because it's not heavy at all outside of like his voice. This eerie song is done playing as I'm walking around town in broad daylight. People are looking at me. It immediately cuts and Caramel Dance and starts playing next because I have my playlist on shuffle. So I went from like this almost torturous sounding song to a Swedish pop song, and it was just like that was it wasn't even just the looks that I got while listening to Blossoming Beelzebub. It was like the weird double take when it switched to the other song that I think I broke somebody that was just walking nearby me. They were like, what?
People could hear it come out of your headphones.
Oh, no, I wasn't wearing headphones. It was on my phone and I had it in my back pocket blasted. I don't give a shit.
Oh. Oh. Okay.
That's why people were giving me looks. No, I'll do that. I'll walk around
Oh.
town
Okay.
with background music on. Like I'll just have my phone facing upside down so the speaker's pointing up just in my back pocket,
Mhm.
playing music as I'm walking around. Sometimes I'll even leave a song on loop because I might just want like actual background music. Today I was
Yeah.
walking around to a song from The Secret of Mana called, it was a perfectly named song, and it's a song that sounds exactly like as it's named. The Color of the Summer Sky is the name of the song.
Okay.
It's a great song. I love it. And like I said, it's a very aptly named song because you're like, yeah, that's probably what the color of the summer sky sounds like. If that sentence could even make sense.
Yeah.
I think, yes,
So
Secret
you
Mana
have
just had a boss soundtrack.
you just have a soundtrack just playing to your
Yeah.
your life playing.
Yeah, I
as
do
you
that
walk around.
sometimes. I've always done that too. Like even before MP3 players were really commonly accessible or anything. I remember
Mhm.
because it was around the time that the iPod was around, but the iPod was stupid fucking expensive when it first came out. At least compared to like me being poor.
Yeah.
Not like things are today, because back then Apple was still trying to be the accessible company. They weren't trying to be the luxury
Yeah.
company yet. But I was poor, so buying an iPod was out of the question. What I did was I had a jacket. I still have a jacket like it, and it had speakers in the hood. It's really cool. I would flip my hood inside out so the speakers would be facing outward, and I would take my DS, because Game Boy Advance games would not go into standby on the DS. And I would put my Final Fantasy 4 or 6, depending on the mood I was in, into the Game Boy Advance cartridge, leave it in my pocket that had the headphones, and just have like songs from the music box that in the advanced version. Because in the advanced version, you unlock a music box at the end. And they would just be like playing as I'm walking around town. I would leave like the overworld music on or something like that. And then once I did get an MP3 player, I still used the same jacket, and I would download like different songs for different places. Like if we were going to, there's an open mall in my city where it's an outdoor mall. You walk inside the buildings and stuff. Everybody walks around, and they have their own music playing. But sometimes I'd be like, screw it, I want my music instead. And we'd be in the freaking Uptown Village, and I'd be playing the market theme from Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
And shit like that. Like, I was always like this.
Dario shamelessly had the iPod Pillow. What is that?
Is that the one where you put plug it in, and there's like a speaker in there, and you listen to stuff while you're sleeping?
I have no idea.
I don't know. I've made a setup like that where I had like really good Sony headphones, and I would slide them underneath into my pillowcase, and once you put the pressure down on the pillow would like absorb the sound from the headphones, and I could like faintly leave music on shuffle as I went to sleep. One time I forgot to put it on shuffle though, and accidentally put it on repeat. Because in some of these older ones, the shuffle and repeat button were the same button. You had to cycle through them. Because they had no difference between like a shuffle repeat combo or anything like that. And I left the song No Rain by Blind Melon on repeat all night, and I heard it in my dream. And that might be why that song is like permanently stuck in my head. Because it has been for the last decade and a half now. But yeah. You gotta be careful.
So I have to share something with you now. Are you prepared?
Did you find the iPod Pillow?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. What are you sharing with me? Better be better than that Game Boy.
Game Boy?
Yeah, the one that you shared yesterday.
Oh. Yeah, no, this is better.
Okay.
You ready?
I'm waiting.
Is it showing it?
Yeah, well, no, it's just a black screen.
No, it's not working.
Well, I'm not surprised. Your camera... Oh, there we go. Fantasian. Did you find a way to mirror it?
Yes, that is showing it.
Yes, I see it. And then it went black again.
Oh, that's weird. I have to click on it. See it now?
No.
Why?
I don't know.
Dang it. Reflector, why are you failing me?
Probably because it's a dumb way to do it.
Well, anyway. Is it still black? Just a black screen?
Still just a black screen.
Ah, dang it. Oh well.
Anyway.
I'm guessing it's... Anyway.
Yeah.
I got it. I'll have to try it out later. There's got to be a better way to do this.
I'm just going to find a way of emulating it. I know emulating Apple is hard. Especially the way with like the iTunes store and stuff works. Emulating Android is easy as fuck because, one, the Android is open source, so like anybody could just make an emulator. Like BlueStacks works very well. And you can just install an APK without having to go through the store or anything. So like, but you can use, like I install my games on BlueStacks through the Play Store because it being how open source is, you can connect to the Play Store and they think you're on a phone. It's just you're not rooted or whatever it is. Emulating Apple is one of the biggest pain in the asses in the world. And a lot of times, the only way you can properly emulate like an Apple Store game is not even through a phone emulator. You have to like find somebody who turned it into a standalone application.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll see if there's a backdoor. The only other way would be dual booting a pirated version of like an Apple OS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, yeah. See, I obviously don't need to emulate it to play it, but how would I show it on my screen? I don't know. I don't quite understand why Reflector doesn't show. I wonder if it would show up on OBS or not. It might.
Yeah.
I'll have to fiddle with that later.
Now, it also depends. You don't have hardware acceleration on your browser or anything, right? Is that how Reflector works? Are you using it in your browser? No, I saw your browser behind it. I guess it was just floating above your browser.
I guess. I don't know. It's an application that you do screen mirroring to.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know why it didn't show up in Discord, but maybe it'll show up in OBS.
Yeah.
It's weird. Some types of Windows, I don't know if it's like GDI plus or something like that it can't always be shared. It's like when you try to share a browser sometimes, it seems like it doesn't always work.
Yeah, one of the things is like most browsers by default have hardware acceleration turned on.
Mm-hmm.
So like sometimes you can't share a video or something because of that. If you go into your browser settings and turn off hardware acceleration, that solves most of those problems.
Oh, turn off hardware acceleration.
Yeah. I was having that problem when we were watching Invincible in the Discord. It was not picking up the Amazon video. And then I was like, oh, I have hardware acceleration on. Let me go turn that off.
Yeah. Well, okay. There's a checkbox that says use classic renderer. I wonder if that would do it.
Where do I watch Willy's Wonderland? I don't know. Marsupial, would you know? Where does somebody watch Willy's Wonderland?
I saw that the other day. Hold on one second. That is a good question. Usually, if you Google it, it will actually tell you. It looks like you can watch it on. It looks like you'd have to pay for it. You'd have to pay for it if you watch it. You can watch it on YouTube, Amazon Prime, or Apple TV, but not for free, as far as I can tell. But it would cost you $4 to basically rent it on Prime Video or YouTube.
Yeah, it's too much.
$4?
Yeah. You know what I could do with $4?
What?
I can go get a hamburger.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not a very good hamburger.
Yeah, but food is food when you're hungry.
I'm still thinking about that Krispy Kreme right down the street. I haven't succumbed yet. I was thinking about donuts the other day, and I looked up a Krispy Kreme right down the street, and it turns out it's open 24 hours a day.
Oh,
who knew?
See, that's the thing.
Like,
I'm not a huge fan of Krispy Kreme. There's better donuts out there, but the fact that I could go and get it in the middle of the night, that's a seller.
Yeah.
So I'm just getting donuts. I'd rather go down the street to my like local donut shop where I know the guy, and like he get me like a bag of donut holes. They'll give it to me like basically at cost.
Yeah.
He actually used to give me free donut holes when I was younger. He's like, "You make good grades?" I'm like, yeah. He's like, "Okay, here."
That's nice.
Yeah, but I never made the good grades. I made good enough grades. I would often like intentionally fail a class, and I'd rotate which class I was failing, just because I didn't have any time to work on the shit I wanted to work on at home. And I'm like, okay, this marking period, this is the class I'm working on my projects in.
Very interesting.
Yep, but I never, failed a school year or anything like that. In fact, my GPA wasn't that bad when I left. I did it like strategically. Like I knew where I could like, okay, right, I can choose to cut back here. I could choose to cut back here during this time and rotate things around.
I did great up until college. I guess the problem was I found, grade school and high school so easy that by the time, when I went to college and things actually got hard, I didn't know how to study.
You see, even when I was in college, I didn't need to study.
I did. But I didn't
My
know
problem
how.
is I didn't have funding for college.
Yeah. I almost failed out, but figured it out. Figured it out in time to actually graduate. I guess it depends on what college you go to.
Like, you want to go to the Mages College?
Mages?
Yeah. There's a
Is
mage
that like
college.
Hogwarts?
No. Well, maybe. I mean, it wasn't a castle. It's an Elder Scrolls. In Skyrim, there was a mage college.
Oh. That's cool. It's a crim master with photographic memory. If you had photographic memory, why did you need to cram?
Maybe he was just trying to like get as much as possible. He was bored with other things, right? It's like, I'm just gonna start building up my library.
My problem was never tests. I didn't have problems with tests even in college. It was other things, because most of the time my grades were not mostly based on tests. They're usually based on project work and that sort of thing.
My problem was I just didn't want to do homework. I had better things to do with my time.
I didn't either. I got kicked for selling weed. Interesting.
Yep. Well, you know what time it is. We're in the last hour of the show.
Do we take a whole hour for that now?
Well, last time we tried only taking a half hour and we didn't finish in time.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Though last time Rick jumped in and started talking too when we started talking about the RPG, and that slowed things down. Rick.
Yeah.
Coming in here like having to defend yourself, the nerve.
Yeah. Did we I guess we did some interesting things.
Yeah, there was a lot of interesting things last time.
Well, first off, can I just ask, are we doing it tomorrow? Because I know
plan on
John's
doing it tomorrow, but did he say he's not going to be there? When did he say he was going to be there?
He did. He 100% said that he's not going to be there.
I did. Well, he's also not in the battle.
But I mean, yeah, that's the thing. I was like, well, does he need to be? Because we already started a big battle without him, so it might be fine.
Okay.
Yeah, trust me. He said he's not going to be there.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out where he said he was not going to be there. Did he say it like in a different chat? Because he didn't say it in the RPG chat.
Where did I ask?
You asked in the RPG chat, but then he said, yeah, boy, but that was in AMC going up to make $1 million. Or going to make him millions.
Yeah. That's right. Where did I ask? Are we skipping this weekend?
Yeah.
I guess he didn't answer there.
Yeah, no, I didn't see him answering at all.
He answered somewhere.
Yeah, it wasn't in a place that I saw it. That's why I was confused.
Wait. I know he did. I didn't just make that up.
Maybe you did.
Maybe I did make it up.
Hello, Rick. Are you here to defend yourself? Are you here to defend yourself again?
No, well, I don't know. I just thought, with that remark, I just thought I'd come in. I was going to be in here a couple minutes sooner, but then I was getting all set up, and then it's like, I got to go watch him. Crap.
Even though I don't think there's anything you defend yourself on. I actually don't have almost any criticism of Rick's gameplay in this last session, like, at all.
Good.
It's pretty straightforward. I know Flit did, because he thought, like, the new move that I gave you was taking up way too much time. But I thought, like, for even the amount of work there was, I did it fairly fast. Less of the problem should be with the move. More of the problem should just be me. Like, it shouldn't be Rick's problem. I gave him the move. I'm also the one that designed the place with 9 enemies in a room.
Hey, I just thought, let's try and hit as many of these as possible, see how good or not it does,
Yeah.
Yeah.
At 40 or 30, I guess it's not too bad, especially for smaller enemies or whatever. And especially since I had put some magic into my bird, which works awful.
Yes, but properly set up. We were talking about something. Did you happen to find where he said that?
No, but I'm guessing he said it in a live stream.
Yeah,
verbally.
probably. I don't know. I haven't heard it yet, so.
Could have he said it last night on last night's live stream?
Maybe.
You were on there.
I don't remember him saying it, but
I think it was before that, but he might have just said it just out loud. I don't think he typed it anywhere.
Yeah. But he's also already asleep. So.
Yeah. Because I remember thinking, like he said, oh yeah, I've got some such and such family thing. And I was thinking, oh, well, we're already in the middle of a fight without him, so I guess that's fine.
Yeah.
So, unless I dreamed it. Could have happened
in a dream.
Unless, I guess it means I don't have to use my warp stone.
Yes, you do. You're just going to warp your whole party off the side into the magma.
Yeah.
And then Mootie's going to wake up and he's going to I don't want to deal with that thing. He's just going to go up the stairs and leave. Yeah. So, okay.
So where did we started outside the
ruins
temple?
Of the Temple of the Heretic Feed. So the previous time before that, you guys had beaten Barthandelus or whatever, and you started outside the ruins. You guys met back up with Vuti, and he was not very impressed with you guys when you told him after the thing was destroyed, but it wasn't any of your guys' fault for it being destroyed, that it was Blitzkrieg. Yeah. He's like, oh, I thought you guys did something cool for a change. And then you guys rode Chocobos all the way over to Razark's Keep because, who wants to even do all that battling? With how over-leveled most of your team is anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you guys showed up. You spent the night outside, and then you're at the keep. It's like a huge, big, kind of like brick oven of a palace. And when you go inside, you realize this place is crammed to the brim with monsters. Even the first room you guys got into, there was 9 enemies in there. Those little blight harvesters. Mm-hmm. You finally caught up with those strange things that you saw back in the crystal shrine way back when.
Yeah.
And then you guys ended up sweeping those guys out. There was a mech in there, a war mech. That none of this stuff was a problem for you guys though, because you guys went and did this challenge dungeon ahead of this, and now you're all higher level than you're supposed to be for this dungeon. And I mean, just for you guys, I could have like upscaled the dungeon or anything, but I already had all this stuff set up. I'm not doing that. It's too much work. You guys can just be strong. I don't care.
Yeah.
You earned it. So you fought this mech. Vuti rewrote time once. You ended up... The scary thing was when you guys ended up against the bombs, right?
What did you say? Booty rewrote time?
Yeah, he rewrote time. He used one of his fate points to re-roll one of his punch rushes.
Oh, right,
missed.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
I missed that.
He
did that.
He rewrote time.
Okay.
And then you... The scary thing was at the back of the first floor. Of this not even huge. This is actually a pretty small dungeon compared to the one you guys just came from.
Yeah.
There were a bunch of bombs, right? The first room, it was the second to last room on the floor. That was the problem, was there was a room with 9 bombs in it. And I'm not sure. I mean, you guys probably should have assumed once you found out that their names were bombs. You specifically, because of how much Final Fantasy you've played, should have assumed that they were probably going to blow up in your faces.
No, I did.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it was the first time in the entire course of the game where Dargonis has KO'd. Because he was standing right in front of like 2 bombs. And the way the self-destruct mechanic works in this game is... Actually, I was kind of going easy on you guys too. They are allowed to move. They still have their movement when they do this. But the way the self-destruct mechanic works in the game is it blows up all the adjacent squares to it when it does self-destruct.
No.
And he had 2 adjacent to him, so he took... I think, yeah, they were full health, so he took their full life. Their full HP's worth of damage minus his magic armor each time. Which ended up doing way more than he actually had health for, and he just collapsed to the ground.
Yep. He would have survived one of them, just not 2.
Yes, but not 2.
Yeah, I was pretty sure they'd blow up too.
Yeah, one of the real reasons I didn't bother moving them is because I think maybe... Nope, the only one that was in range to move to somebody was the one that was already diffused. Because if you used water on them, that was one of the mechanics I put in, is they get diffused. All the other ones were out of movement range to actually kill anybody. It was like, well, I knew 2 of them were already going to kill him. There was no point in me moving the other pieces just for them to kill him even more.
Even more.
Yeah. But they are allowed to move. They still have their movement before they do that move.
Yeah.
And so yeah, bombs are scary. And
Yeah,
you know that's most of the mobs in that place are bombs. It's overweighted to where you're more likely to run into a bomb than anything else.
Yeah. And I told Borovo, just because I think we were waiting the second time at one
For
point
them to explode.
maybe the second group that we was waiting for them all to explode, and
Just
Borovo was
stay
like,
there
"What should
behind
I
the
do?"
corner.
And I was like, "Just stay, don't do anything,"
Yeah.
because we were just waiting.
Yeah, and then you guys ended up having a choice. There was a stairwell there. One of the stairways went up and one of them went down. And you guys chose to go down. Because it was, you had a miner there, so it's like Gimli. It's like, a mine!
Yeah, I don't know why I guess, is that why we chose down? Because he wanted to go down?
Yes. Because he wanted to
Okay.
go down. And nobody was going to argue with that.
I don't think anyone had a strong feeling one way or the other.
And so you guys ended up going down the stairs. And that's actually the most interesting place in this dungeon, because this dungeon's really not all that spectacular. It's supposed to be the basic, you're here to fight the boss type dungeon. And it's still chapter 1. The challenge dungeon was kind of interesting. It had like laser walls and stuff and those type of things, but I mean, chapter 1 or adventure 1 in a multi-chapter thing, who expects too dramatic of like challenges and stuff. You'll have riddles and puzzles and stuff like that galore in chapter 2. But you go downstairs and you're in like this cavern that has this huge just river of magma flowing through it. And on top of the river magma, there was like this kind of like graded platform. Almost in the shape of a diamond that was like suspended there from both lips of the sides of the river, but also from chains hanging from the ceiling. And you guys were like, rationally, like very rationally, you guys were like afraid to even go on this platform in the first place. Like something's gonna jump us when we go on this platform.
Yeah. But nothing did.
Yeah, something did. It was just on the way back across it.
Yeah.
Yes, I was trying to lull you guys into a false sense of security. It's like, first, make you super paranoid, and then you're like, oh, I guess there was no reason to be paranoid. And then there was a reason to be paranoid.
I whispered, I guess you don't see those, but I whispered to Borovo. I was like, something terrible is going to come back onto that bridge when we come back, on our way back. And he's like, I guess.
Would see them, but I only see the whispers if I currently have that character set as my talking, right? Because you whisper to whoever has that set as their as, which is why if you don't have your normal name set, they can't whisper to your normal name. They can only whisper to an active player. So if I had Talon set as my communication player, I would see anything coming to you. Or if I had Borovo set as my communication, I'd see anything going to him.
Well, I'm sure Flit can confirm that I was whispering to him that I thought something was going to appear on that bridge on the way back.
Yeah, so you guys
didn't happen exactly as I thought, but
paranoid. Like it was funny too. Is like Borovo jumping up and down to test this thing like a little child. Like after seeing these two much heavier people already walk across.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wasn't gonna break it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize I didn't realize there was change coming from the ceiling holding either.
I did say that like 3 times.
Yeah, I don't know how I didn't hear it, but I didn't hear it.
Does that matter? Why does that matter?
Oh, doesn't ultimately, but that's why I was being extra cautious, too, Oh,
you didn't think anything was holding it up?
He thought maybe like if you went too far to one side because it was unevenly, it would like tip over or something like that. Or...
Yeah.
But that's why the chains are there, so it doesn't tip.
Yeah.
I mean, most of the weight's being supported by the actual cliffs itself. The chains are really just to keep it in place.
So we got to cross.
Yes, you got to cross, no problems whatsoever. And then you came up to this strange door made out of orichalcum with a seal on it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, as I described, a circle with markings etched into it. And a voice started yelling at you guys from the other side of the door. Because the person in there seems to be pretty fed up from being in there. And there was like a prisoner stuck on the other side. Once again, you guys were very rationally paranoid because you're like, why would this heavy door with a seal need to be here to keep somebody on the other side? And some of you even engaged in conversation with the character. And she wanted you to let her out. And you guys were like, why? And she convinced you that, well, I'm clearly not the person who runs this joint, because the fiends are what's causing the blight. You guys finally find out that the fiends are what's causing the blight in the land.
Yeah.
And if she were the fiend locked up in that sealed room, why would there be any blight anywhere? Now, you guys aren't even sure if that logic checks out, like, from even your character's perspective. Like, there's no way your characters can be sure that logic checks out. But to some of the people in your team, it's like, well, it seems to check out. Okay, so you go to try to let her out of the room, and immediately Blight starts attacking you and starts shooting flames from the door.
What were you gonna say, Rick?
I was just gonna say. I think my character, open the door. It's like, okay, we'll open the door. We'll talk to you more face to face. You know, see how much more we believe you.
Yeah, but like, what if this was like some unholy, unspeakable evil that was being trapped in there for generations, and the person just happened to build their keep on top of it?
Yeah. Well,
you guys have no idea what's in there, or that you should trust it.
I thought it was going to be, well, first off, I thought you'd mentioned that this was like the Mount Gulg of this adventure, so I was expecting Carrie, the Fiend of Fire.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if we'd end up. I don't remember what I thought, but I figured whatever was in there was probably the bad guy, the boss, or whatever. But I thought we'd be in there for the fight, or no, you know what I thought? I thought whoever it would be would look all innocent, and we would we'd talk to them for a bit, and then we'd start to escort them back across the bridge,
and then you'd end up in a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but
I probably got somewhere along the same lines, or fighting in that room.
Yeah.
So I wanted to see who was in there, but we didn't get to see yet, if anyone.
Yeah. Well, see, I was hoping something else was going to happen too, because I have this written into my my guide, right? Like I write all this stuff ahead of time on how the mechanics should work and stuff, and Buck, being very rationally paranoid, because he knows me. And I'm not even doing most of the stuff I would do anyway, because again, this is supposed to be an easy adventure for beginners and stuff. But he knows me, and as this flame was spitting out, it's like, well, his character is currently immune to fire damage because of the armor that he's wearing. He could have just walked up and tried to still open the door despite the fire being spewing. But what would have happened if somebody did try to like ignore the fire damage or even just take it and open the door is Blight of Frida would have just spawned right there, grabbed them by the head, and then dunked them onto the stage, doing knockback damage. Like he would just grab them and like rush them onto the platform. But instead, you guys retreated from the fire the safe way, and we're kind of like forced back onto the platform, where immediately like spires of fire just shot up into the air, blocking off your escape routes, and then you had to fight the Blight Esper of Frida, which is kind of where we left you off. You guys are still in the middle of that fight. And I forget. I don't know what you guys feel about it.
Is she currently attacking twice per turn?
No.
No, only once.
I couldn't remember. Yeah.
No, it was Barthandelus.
I think. Yeah, I was gonna say he's confusing her with the one from the big
I couldn't remember. What were you gonna say, Brett? What you think, Rick?
No, well, it's just. No, I was just gonna say about it.
Thirsty?
Like you said, about only one that we're. She's only going once per turn,
Yeah.
And of course, we might have had Dylan back. We're not sure whether he's going to be there. We may or may not have him.
We're gonna go with a 76% chance that he's not going to be there.
So, we were trying to figure a way to get him in. We actually had an idea up there.
Oh, yeah?
And that the warp stone. I have 2 warp stones.
Can you throw it to him?
No. You just cast it on the party, and it moves everybody. He's only got 3 magic, so he can move them up to 3 squares in one direction.
Oh, I see.
It would move your whole party, but you could, yeah. If he just stands next to the wall, he can move him like 2 squares over without like risking anybody else falling off.
Yeah.
And he could be in the battle, you know, at that point.
But you do know that
Okay.
unlike her brother, Blight of Frida, it doesn't only do fire damage. Because she already cast Meteorite on Talon.
Hmm.
But at least you're not, you know, afflicted by Meltdown this battle.
Yeah, really. That's nice. Did Meltdown include magic? Basically get rid of magic armor as
Everything.
well?
Yeah, all of your armor, magic armor, your defenses are just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely good that
But I don't have a strong enough water spell to do a whole lot of damage.
You just need like a super soaker.
Yeah. And ice doesn't do as much damage as I would have
doesn't
hoped.
do any.
I think it just does regular damage, whereas with water,
No,
the water
she's-
spell.
She's resistant to ice.
Oh, she is?
Yeah.
Right. So it does do some, just half.
Yeah, but after her magic armor, I don't even know if your ice spell does any damage. Well, maybe your strong one does. I don't know.
Probably not. But the point is, water does double damage, so it would definitely be more.
Yeah, and I've got my water gleam on my harpoon. I guess it is.
Well, that's where we left
guess
you
it's
guys
spinning
off.
a harpoon.
So what are you guys thinking of the dungeon so far?
It's pretty
All right.
short so far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we still, when we go back up, we've got to go upstairs, deal with that boss.
There's a boss upstairs.
What I get? Yeah, on the second floor.
How do we know that?
He doesn't, but
Well, Metal did half allude to it, but even that, it's like this is a special boss. Or whatever.
yes, this is labeled as a challenge boss.
Hmm.
Which would be very challenging if you guys were the proper level.
Sure.
Well, it's still been
Could be.
challenging, even with where we're at. You know, at least I find, you know,
Or at least it's
what's it
time
got 6 or
consuming.
7,000 XP. We do. What do we got it down? Third or half?
Yeah,
Yeah,
just,
I think we got-
it's too bad that the boss can't pick you up and just throw you into the lava.
Or heal herself. Yeah, could end up healing herself.
Yeah.
Well, just nobody attack her with fire.
Yeah, no, it
Yeah,
actually
right.
might just be best that Vuti's not there. Like, what if he punch rushed her into the wall of fire?
Uh-oh.
She just got all of that health back. Oh man, I wish Rudy would show up.
Well, can she just run into the wall of fire? I guess that's depends on what she does. What her behaviors are.
Her behavior is she wants to kill you.
Yeah, nobody punch her into the wall of fire.
I think he's the only person in your team that really has knockback. Well, technically you do. You have knockback. 'Cause you have
Oh, with magic.
Yeah, you have magic missile now, so you've got one space of knockback.
Yeah. Well, how much damage do those pillars of fire do?
You don't know.
I don't think we want to know.
I can. There's only one way you can find out.
Well, here's a question.
You know,
If there's a damage cap of 999, does that mean there's a healing cap of 999?
Yes. Outside of limit
Normal.
breaks.
Yeah. So theoretically, hopefully, like if she somehow got knocked into or ran into the firewalls, hopefully she wouldn't get healed for more than 999.
yeah. Well, I
At a
forget.
time.
Is her offhand? Was her max HP above 10,000 or not?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I
I
feel
know.
like
You could probably go in and find out.
Barthandelus had like 14,400.
Yeah,
we
but
had John for
this
that
boss
point.
is less.
Yeah. And we had
No, you didn't.
Blitzkrieg.
Oh, yeah, Blitzkrieg. But you said John before because you didn't have John for that one.
Oh, we didn't have John?
No,
Oh,
he was
okay.
outside picking turnips.
This is all the coolest stuff.
I know.
Oh,
Now you
wow.
guys have to fight this blighted fiend-like thing that's floating around that Borovo is suddenly attracted to. What's with it, right?
Was he?
Like, I understand it's Flit, and Flit kind of has a thing for goblin girls,
Yeah.
but it's with him with his character being attracted to all the monster girl waifus in the game, right? Like, he didn't like Dana till she turned into an Esper.
Yeah.
And then you see Afrida show up. He's like, oh, Afrida. He's into all the Espers. That's his character's type. He has a hard-on for Espers.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah. I'm half surprised he didn't play a short stack Taru instead of the character that he made.
Yeah, definitely. Could have drawn the picture himself.
Yeah, it would have been totally up his alley. Maybe his next character.
Who drew? Did you draw the picture of him?
No, he
This
made Borovo himself.
Oh, he did. Okay.
Yeah. No, other than the quick little chibis that I do for the NPCs and stuff, the only person's character I drew is both of Travis's. Because he doesn't do any of the drawing. I would have drawn yours if Diller didn't do it already.
Oh, okay.
Or Rick's, but Rick was also insistent on doing his. Mostly because he wanted that free fate point that you get at the beginning for me not making your token.
Yeah.
Well, plus, I didn't mind, I think I also drew it online, gave me content for my channel at the time.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but that's about it. I mean, I did go back through and I rewatched the whole episode. That's why it's fresh in my head. I had to figure out what your guys' experience was going to be. But none of you get it until after the battle.
Except John.
Yeah, I already gave him his. He didn't get a lot, though. But he wasn't there. That was the big problem, right? So it was right before you guys met the bombs. Family problems. He had to run off to a hospital real quick. So he actually had to miss, like, all the interesting parts of the session. And the real reason we had to cut is because Marsupial had to leave to go play a stupid game.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if it was a good game, I'd have less complaints, but...
Yeah. Well, I don't have it tomorrow.
He couldn't be Among Us because he had to go play Among Us.
That's right.
Yeah. I reckon it would have been funnier if you just ended it after the first half of that sentence.
That's right.
What was that?
If you just ended it at he couldn't be Among Us, it would have been a funnier joke.
And then I ended up having to wait for over an hour.
Yeah.
So I could have kept playing with you. Oh well.
Yes, we could have had that boss defeat it.
It would have been funny if you didn't tell anybody that you were doing anything like that, and you just kept like switching mics over, and you were doing both at the same time.
Well, again, I could have because I wasn't doing anything for the first hour. Except waiting.
I don't maybe, yeah. Probably could have beat that boss an hour. You guys aren't over level.
Maybe. Frick would hurry up. Just kidding.
Yeah. As long as nobody knocks it into the fire. Just don't fall in the lava. That's all I gotta say. Don't fall in the lava.
Well, I wasn't giving it any knockback, getting it knocked into the firewall. So outside of that, no.
It would have been funnier if you just said Among Us, Rick. That's what Joshua says.
You just said Among Us.
Yeah.
To say Among Us.
Yeah. Like on all of Stone Toss's new comics, there's just somebody in the chat that goes Among Us, or in the tweets. I was actually trying to find it, like he's sneaking the Among Us characters into his art.
Yeah.
And at this point, I'm not sure if he actually is or isn't.
I don't think he is, which makes me wonder, like, where did that come from? Why do people always say Among Us on his...
I don't know.
Tweets.
It's pretty sus if you ask me.
Yeah. Indeed.
Just like Manly Cougar. Manly Cougar's the most sus person in your party. I mean, come on. What kind of adventurer doesn't kill things? Can you even trust somebody like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the game I should play instead of that is, and I wanted to bring this up earlier, is Little Nightmares, which is free on Steam right now.
Oh yeah, I picked it up.
They did.
Yeah, you have until like I think tomorrow is when it stops, on the 30th.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah, check it out, Rick. Little Nightmares on Steam. It's free.
What's it about?
It's like a horror survival game.
Oh,
You play this little girl in a cute little yellow raincoat, and it's like a puzzle game where you're trying to avoid things. Yeah, things are trying to kill you everywhere.
Yeah. Well,
it's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty.
And
cool.
it's free.
I prefer watching it to playing it. I mean, the puzzles, at least there's interaction. I'm just not really into games where things are chasing you and you can't fight back for the most part. But it's not just that. Like, there are actual puzzles to do in the game, so.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike,
well,
what game was it? Not Penumbra, the one after. There was 2 games in it. Starts with an A, I think. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It's in my library. Let me pull up Steam real quick. You can say what you're saying while I think about it.
I was just going to say, even if you're not sure if you like it, it's free. So you don't even have to install it. You can go and buy it for free and just, like,
Amnesia.
have it there in case you ever want to try it.
Yeah, free's always nice, right?
Amnesia was a game that it was like one of the earlier ones to start. It was this the sequel or prequel series to Penumbra, which Penumbra was pretty good. It had some puzzles, but Amnesia was more heavily based on the horror of being chased by things and trying to run and outwit it. And you had a sanity meter, and it had puzzles in it, somewhat. The puzzles sucked. They were barely puzzles, right? A lot of it was like, move this box here. And it was just like this very simplistic thing you had to do on a very, very short time limit. And it was all about basically just opening this door. Like, I've seen gameplay of Little Nightmares. The puzzles in them are actually more puzzles than they were in a game like Amnesia. And part of it, too, is Amnesia is like an actual first-person walk-around game. So, puzzles are going to end up being limited in something like that.
Yeah.
And that game basically just ended up being run. And I hate games
Amnesia
like that.
Rebirth.
Yeah.
Is Rebirth a remake?
I don't know. I'm assuming. I know Amnesia had a sequel, but I'm not.
There's like a million of them.
Yeah.
There's Amnesia Rebirth, Amnesia The Dark Descent, Amnesia Memories.
I think Dark Descent was the sequel. I don't, or was that the first one? Let me look. I have that.
Amnesia A Machine for Pigs.
Yeah, Amnesia The Dark Descent, I think, was the original Steam release.
The Dark Descent was the original?
I think so, because that's the one I have, and I have the original.
So what is it? Is A Machine for Pigs? Is that the sequel?
I don't remember. It's been a long time. Like, these games were really popular back in, like, 2014, 15 and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And they were games that, like,
Well,
every,
apparently-
like, Let's Player and stuff were playing at the time. It's like, but this game is boring to actually play.
Well, apparently they did a remake last year. Came out
Yeah.
October 2020.
It's kind of like, what was
Yeah,
that other one? Outlast is a game that's done in, like, the same type of style where you're literally just a guy. Instead of an
Oh, yeah.
insanity filter, at least there was this meter for your sanity in Amnesia, where if you were in the dark for too long, your person would go insane and just, like, die. Right? So you had to keep finding oil for your lantern and stuff. Outlast, on the other hand, it was literally just the game wants to kill you, and you need to find batteries for your camera just so you can see in the dark. That game was, like, even
Yeah.
more lame than Amnesia.
Outlast. I remember when everyone was playing that. Or maybe it was Outlast 2 or something like that. Yep.
At least Amnesia
Well,
had this,
Little
like, it was a
Nightmares.
manor, right, in Amnesia. You were in
Yeah.
this big manor. So at least there's, like, this cool exploration of, like, the manor you were in. But, yeah, other than that, it's like,
Mhm.
Little Nightmares very straightforward. I've seen it. I can't remember who I watched play it, but I've seen, like, a whole playthrough of it. That's the type of game, like, I can actually recommend to somebody like side-scrolling if they like tension and if they like puzzles.
Yeah.
Well, I just got it since it was free, as they said.
Oh.
Although, I guess you guys may or may not have seen, I beat Portal 2.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, good job.
Marsupial's been waiting on that because he wants to play multiplayer with you.
Yeah, I forgot the Vomitorium was on it, and because I think he said he was there, was looking right near the end, and I think he typed GG right near the end.
Yeah.
Good
Oh,
job.
I saw you beat it and just type GG.
So I'm like, Marsupial, you want to do the multiplayer
Uh-oh.
thing? Forgetting
Yeah, I
that
didn't-
you were. You
I didn't
didn't hear me, obviously. You didn't get
Yeah.
Vomitorium on here, and I had forgot this on. But I downloaded a custom map, played that, and then ended. It's like,
Oh.
Vomitorium's on. That's why you didn't answer me.
In the future, the Vomitorium is just going to be completely rendered in the Unreal Engine.
Right.
You know, I'm pretty sure there's probably actually a way to do that. It would be a strain on my computer. There'd be no point to it. But I'm sure that's actually possible.
To render it in the Unreal Engine?
Yeah. Well, there's a VTuber
Yeah, well,
that does all of her stuff through the Unreal Engine, Code Miko.
Yeah. All he'd have to do is recreate his bedroom and all that.
Just everything.
And then, then he's just simply got to do a motion capture of the one on there. So if he's moving, it's doing it. It's all virtual.
No, it's just everybody has to be green screened, and then I'll just insert us into the virtual room.
Yeah.
And it'll all look like we're in the same room with each other, but we won't be.
I like the idea of doing the Animal Crossing thing, but that
Yeah,
never
the problem
worked
is
out.
it just didn't want to work, right? And the thing is, I don't know why. Every time we tried to connect, it just kept booting. I've played Smash Brothers with people without even any lag in this same location, like as far from the router as I am since then. And Smash Brothers worked perfectly fine, but for some reason, every time we tried to connect with Animal Crossing, it just
Yeah.
booted immediately.
Do you think it was on your end? Because, like I said, I might be upgrading to fiber on my end. Maybe
I don't
that
know
would make
whose
it
end
doable.
it was on. I just know it wasn't having a fun time. And I spent all that time trying to make my little talk show setup and everything too. It's like,
Studio, yeah.
oh,
Well,
man.
maybe we should try it again sometime.
Maybe. We should try it when we're off air just to make sure everything works. Instead of like
Yeah.
20 minutes before the show is about to start, constantly trying to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
That's something you want to do when you're not actually got a stream
Yeah.
coming up. That way you're not pressured.
Well, it's also better that I have a second monitor now, because before we were trying to do it, if we did get kicked, I would have had to have tried to re-navigate through everything on a 1-second delay using OBS to be able to open up like the gate and everything again. Now I have a monitor I can plug it into and actually do it in real time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now here's a question. If I do I think I have Final Fantasy VII on my Switch.
Yes.
I think. How can I display my button inputs on from the Switch? I don't know if that's going to be possible.
I don't know. Probably not.
Not that it matters, but I got my button inputs displaying from the SNES Mini, which interestingly I had to set the program for that to be a Wii, because it's basically a Wiimote mapped to an SNES controller. But I don't know what to do with the Switch. I'll have to look something up. It's all wireless.
Yeah, well, I mean, not everything is wireless.
Well,
All your
But I
stuff
mean-
is wireless.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Joy-Cons, if I use Joy-Cons, they're wireless.
Yeah, you could always just get a wired controller to plug in.
Is there a place to plug in a wired controller on the Switch?
Yes, in the USB ports in the front of the dock that we went over last time we were talking about the Switch.
So it
That
only
you-
works if it's in the dock?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess that's all that... Are you not going to have your Switch docked while you're trying to capture it? I
No.
mean, how else would you use an
I will.
HDMI?
Yeah, I will. I'm surprised that they made wired controllers that you have to have it docked to use. I don't know.
Yeah, for multiplayer. And that's really the
Yeah.
only reason it exists, right? Or for Smash players. That's honestly the real reason. Because Smash players are
Is
old
there
school.
input- Is there input lag from Joy-Cons?
I don't think so.
I think-
But they have to be charged, and Joy-Cons are just not very good controllers. Like, in general, they're not... They don't handle the rough and tumble very well, especially, I mean, look at the drift that they end up getting. Not
Yeah.
like a GameCube controller. That's a solid controller, which is why they still have that GameCube adapter for people who like to play Smash, or even some of the other Pro controllers. They're really solid until they start drifting too.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess I could technically...
Don't have that problem with the
use that.
GameCube controller because it's got a spring. It's a traditional analog controller.
Yeah. Yeah, what the heck is all over my controller here? Gunk in here.
Salmon.
Nope. It might be food, I have no idea.
I think my GameCube controller is probably in my backpack.
I think it's just caked on dust.
And caked on her face.
That's right.
I'm
Well,
a fan of the
anyway.
GameCube controller. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah. Well, okay then.
Rick,
I
what's
like
your
it when
favorite?
playing games.
What's your favorite controller? And you too, Marsupial. What are your favorite controllers?
Honestly, this has been my favorite.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, I think. Sorry, what were you going to say, Rick?
Well, go ahead.
I was going to say, probably to be like, if you go by, if we're talking about like actual controllers that came with a console, I think the closest thing to this is probably the PS1 controller. I think that's probably my favorite, is the PS1 controller.
Before or after they added the analog? Or the dual stick?
Did they ever have that in the
Yeah.
PS1?
It was originally added for PS1. You play in games like Ape Escape. There's a button in the middle that said analog, and when you pressed it, it actually turned on the joysticks.
Yeah, probably with that. Because I like having the option. I like using the D-pad in a lot of cases, but I like having the option to do the analog. Especially with a game where the amount that you push, affects like how fast your character goes or whatever. Did the original PS1 controller have 4 shoulder buttons or just the 2?
Yes. It was the first one to have the double.
Yeah. I think it was probably the original PS1 or maybe PS2, although I never had a PS2. Wasn't it basically the same controller for all the way through the PS3?
Yeah, that's basically
Probably
just a PlayStation controller.
Yeah. Probably something like this. I think it's close. This is close to an Xbox and PlayStation.
It's a PlayStation controller. It's got the buttons for the PlayStation controller too, with the circle, the triangle, the X, and the square.
Yeah. But this is like a no-name one as far as I know.
Yeah.
I guess I'd say the PS3 controller would probably be my favorite.
Yeah, I like the 3 because the 2 was basically just the original DualShock. They even called it the DualShock 2. It was basically the PS1 DualShock controller, but made from the beginning to always be a DualShock. There was no analog button. Everything in the PlayStation 2 used it. And then the PlayStation 3 was basically a slightly smaller, lightweight version of that same controller. The proportion, like how far the buttons were apart from each other, was exactly the same. It was just a controller that fit in the hand better.
Yeah.
And then 4, they went and fucked it up.
Yeah. I mean, this is fine as far as controllers go. It's, for
it's not
playing...
very ergonomic.
Yeah, it's all right for playing old school games, but yeah, I mean, if I had a choice, I'd much prefer the PS3 controller or this, which is basically.
Well, that's why I like the GameCube controller I have now, because it's a GameCube controller, but it's got more buttons on it, so it has all the buttons you need in a modern controller, and it has the joysticks even push in, so you have your L3 and R3 button.
Yeah.
In some ways, I find it sort of funny. I'm not sure whether you guys did, but I know a lot of people that, the more buttons the controller started getting, a bunch of people I know got,
That's actually what turned my dad off of games, was there's too many buttons. He couldn't figure out what the hell he was doing. It's like the Super Nintendo already was getting too many buttons for me. That's his opinion, right? He likes the NES where it's like, I got 2 buttons I got to worry about. That's it. I just want to play the batter up, or RBI baseball. That's all I want.
Did the PS3 controller, could you push in the analog?
PS3, yes. Before that, no. The PS3 was the first one to have an L3 and R3 in that line of controllers.
Okay.
I remember complaining about, that too, but, I sort of got used to it, the more buttons.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a old man yells at clouds type situation. Because my dad, he played stuff on the Wii, right? He's like, oh, this is great. There's not so many buttons on the Wiimote. And I'm like, yeah, there is. You're not counting them the same. Between the Wii and the Nunchuck, there's just as many buttons on it. But he loved playing, whatever the 2K... what's it? NBA. Or what's the baseball one?
RBI? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. There's a 2K baseball
MLB.
game or whatever. MLB, that's it. I think NBA, that's National Basketball. MLB, the 2K MLB. He loved one of the ones that we had for the Wii. But he didn't play it with the baseball bat like you did Wii Sports. He played it with the buttons, and I don't understand how he couldn't see that there was just as many buttons on there as, say, a GameCube controller. I think because his mind just interpreted that there was less buttons, it was okay for him. Because a lot of the games that he wanted to play didn't use all the buttons anyway. All he needed, back in the GameCube day, was the big red button and the big green button. Or the middle red button and the big green button.
Well, one thing that drives... I hate it when there's just poor choices in what the buttons do.
Yeah.
Like in one of my biggest pet peeves lately is in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, to lock on to an enemy. In the original Hyrule Warriors, I believe it was the left stick, or maybe it was the right. It was one of the shoulder buttons. In Age of Calamity, you have to push in the right hand stick, and it's like, yeah, it's really hard and awkward because I'm sitting here pushing these buttons, and then I have to reach over and push this to lock in or unlock from an enemy.
You know what my favorite use of the middle click or the L2 or L3 and R3 buttons is when you use those for crouch and sprint, right? So like in the one that you would use for camera, you hit the middle of that and then you crouch down, or the one that you use for movement, you just click the middle of that and you start sprinting. I think those are good uses of those buttons, because I hate it when those buttons take up something that should be an action.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm like, there's so many other buttons.
Or very commonly used action, you know?
Yeah, like... Or like
Even
modern games when they put gunfire on X. You're like, dude, that's why trigger buttons were invented in the first place. It's like a gun trigger. That's why they call them the trigger buttons. I'm not even saying the shoulders, like the bottom two, right? The next ones are triggers. Yeah.
Yeah, even Portal got that right with using the triggers to shoot.
That's why Xbox literally shaped theirs like triggers, right? They actually come down with that kind of concave trigger shape.
Yeah, that's what these are.
Yeah.
And these are analog too, which is cool. I don't know if I've seen any game actually use that, but you can. When I do testing with it, like you can see how far down you push.
Oh, there's pressure sensitivity to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you got to squeeze the trigger. You don't pull it, you squeeze it.
Presumably, you could use that for a game where like it shoots bullets like multiple or something, and so you could control the speed at which you're shooting.
Oh, okay,
something.
yeah, like rapid fire, burst fire, stuff like
that. Yeah. I don't know what else you'd use those analog triggers for.
Water gun game, for how much water comes out at a time.
That's right. Yeah, if you use it for Super Mario Sunshine or something, how much flood comes in.
Water pressure.
That's right.
Yeah, and with that, we've made it to the end of the show.
Amazing.
Oh, yeah. It's a miracle.
I'm awake.
Yeah, no. I'm barely awake. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks for coming, even you, Rick. And
you're welcome.
If you enjoyed the show, please share it with somebody else you think might enjoy it. If you really like it, consider giving a donation to streamlabs.com/Vomitorium live, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Or tomorrow, if you want to watch us stupidly play a tabletop RPG. It's fun, we promise.
Smartly play.
Something like that. See you guys later.
Bye.